don't know what you did to me. Your body language speaks to me. I don't know what you did to me. Your body language speaks to me.
Ding dong, I know you can hear me. Open up the door. I only wanna play a little.
I'm in the door.
You can keep me.
I'm in the door.
It's already too.
I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. What? Are you sure?
Welcome back, creepy crew. Why don't you go ahead and grab a glass of wine from over there? Come get in this bed and watch these love spells gone wrong with me, baby. You see, baby, when a person gets desperate for love, when the late nights get lonely, and all they can think about is that special someone, they might turn to a love spell. Oh yeah, baby. They think a little magic can fix all their problems, make that romance sweet, easy, and smooth like butter on a warm biscuit. But let me tell you something. Love ain't always so simple. Sometimes, when you mix desperation with magic, it all goes sideways. Yeah, baby. That's when you get a whole lot more than you bargained for. Maybe that love potion backfires? Or that spell? It don't hit like it's supposed to. You end up with heartbreak, chaos, and sometimes even a little bit of terror. Yeah, baby. These love spells don't always know how to stay in their lane. So baby, sit tight. We're about to dive into stories where the magic wasn't so sweet, where love spells went from happily ever after to, what in the world did I just do? Let's get into it, baby.
So, beloved, can you talk about the time where you were under a love spell, please? Yes, I can. Here we go. This woman watched my page for 2 months, put separation spells on me and my spouse. Back then, we was just getting together, really didn't know much about each other, so our foundation wasn't that strong. This woman took my picture off of social media, put spells on me, relentlessly, genuinely convinced herself that I was hers. Didn't matter that I did not belong to her. In her head, I was hers. And in magic, belief and intent is everything. So being delusional is important. And delusion, baby, I had plenty of that. I didn't realize she was putting witchcraft on me until about 6 months in. So anything before that, I was lost and confused and still kind of playing in my head like, did that just happen? Is that what it is? Because she was real good at playing stuff off, making it seem like I'm crazy. And if I already feel crazy and you're making me feel crazy, then naturally I'm going to think I'm crazy. This woman was writing sigils on me every time we had sex. Placing sigils on my back, placing sigils on my chest, the palms of my hand, behind my ears, on my forehead. So it got to a point to where I started to question things. I stopped trying to have sex with her, started trying to fast. She wasn't having that. Started trying to pull out. She wasn't having that. She wanted to have sex and she wanted me to come in her every time. She wanted whatever that would keep that connection deep and ongoing. She was a high-ranking entity, and truthfully, I'm a high-ranking spiritual being myself. So whenever me and this woman had sex, homie, I could feel the different portals opening up around me. It's almost like the moment she slid down on it, we would leave this realm and go to another one. Me and this woman would have sex for hours. I'm talking 3, 4, 5 hours straight. Lose track of time, and a lot of times I would often forget where I was. A lot of times where I felt like I was out of my body. Another thing about this woman, homie, she never did anything without permission. She always would stand at the door until I invited her in. Now, these are all common things, homie. It's natural for us to say, come on in. Go ahead, have a seat. You don't really think that you're coming into agreement with the spirit by saying these everyday things. But that's exactly what it was. Now, I already know a lot of y'all gonna get in the comments and say what you would have done, what I should have done. But the truth is, you don't know what the hell you would have done. It's all fun and games until that demon standing right there in front of you. This woman was very, very smooth with her tongue. Real good at making you feel crazy. Real good at making you second guess yourself. So it did take me a while to catch on to her tactics. But I did in the end. A lot of y'all may also think that because she had such a strong hold on me, it was because I was weak in faith or I wasn't grounded or something like that. Baby, the devil can torment anybody. Job stood on business, and he was still tormented by the devil. So don't ever think that you're too good to be touched by the devil. Sometimes God allows us to go through things because that same thing that breaks us for the moment will be the same thing that he uses to have us minister to people. So a few years ago, this same thing had me suicidal. But here I am today behind this screen ministering to you. There's somebody right now going through the exact same thing I went through, and they don't know how to get out of it. They don't even believe what's going on. But when they hear me speak on these things, they can relate to them, and it make a whole lot of sense when I say it. That's why God allows certain things. That's what it is to be chosen. You get hand-picked for spiritual warfare, and you are required to be stronger than everybody else. You can't call yourself a warrior for Christ if you ain't never been to war. A lot of y'all in these comments, homie, in my inbox talking about this and that. You ain't no real man of God. How you gonna be a man of God and you cursing? Man, be quiet. Y'all ain't been to war for real. Y'all ain't never had the devil at your front doorstep. A lot of y'all ain't even ever seen nobody possessed before. I grew up watching people get demons called out of them. Y'all saw it on TV. I lived through that. This low vibrational entity, when she came into my life, infestation followed her. Bad luck followed her. My bedroom was infested with bed bugs. Her period came on during sex. She bled all over me, bled in my bed, on my floor. She had marked up my walls. Big handprints with blood on my walls, on my light switches. And nah, she didn't clean it up. She meant to leave it there. She also pissed on my floor. Marked her territory the way animals do.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
This sounds like something that you would hear out of a freaking movie, homie. But I lived through it. I would catch this woman in lies, hold her accountable, curse her out, tell her I'm done with you, little mama. I leave her alone. She goes straight to her ancestors, straight doing candle magic, straight to love magic, trying to manifest me back. Talk about a way to misuse your gifts. So every week out of the month, this thing would manifest in her, and it would come to the forefront. And whenever this happened, she would warn me and she would try to stay away from me. But I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to meet this thing. I wanted to know what I was dealing with. So I convinced her to come over while this thing was manifested. I met this thing. Baby, when I tell you this thing was pure hate. She sat in my living room and her eyes were pitch black. And I remember looking at this thing sitting in my couch in my living room. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I was scared. I ain't scared of demons. But in that particular moment, I was scared. This thing looked at me like it honestly wanted to devour me. The eyes of it followed me around the room like it was stalking me. And you could feel this demonic presence in the air. When she left, I remember sitting on my couch and begging God to get me out of this. I knew that he was taking me through it to teach me something, but that don't mean that I wanted to go through it. Job knew that God still loved him while he was letting the devil torment him, but that don't mean Job wanted to go through it. When you are chosen, you are marked for betrayal. You are marked for heartache. You are marked for doggone warfare. And your life ain't easy. Honestly, wouldn't even notice her if you was near her. She was quiet, just a petite, little quiet, pretty girl. It's crazy that she can conjure up and manifest so many dark entities when she had social anxiety. She used to get choked up talking to me all the time because she said I made her nervous. But the thing is, she was so used to being around entities and not people that she felt comfortable around dark entities and anxious around people. She grew up in that, got raped in multiple foster homes, father in prison, mama dead, grandmama raised her and taught her witchcraft. With all that trauma and that dark, twisted family history, this woman was the perfect vessel for a dark entity to house. You see, when I met this woman, she told me that she was obsessed with me. And of course, I never thought anything of it. I thought that was just her way of exaggerating how she felt about me. Nah, that wasn't the case. She wasn't lying to me at all. You see, the thing with a succubus is a sex spirit. So when it came down to sex or physical intimacy, she was top tier. Am I bragging on that? No. Was it something that I would do again if I had the chance? No. But I'm being honest. It's like she was made for sex. She had the softest skin, a Coke bottle shape. Didn't matter if she was outside all day. When she pulled them panties down, I never smelled anything on her. Never. Didn't matter what position I put in or however I folded up. Whenever I gave her that pressure, she took every inch of me. It never ran. Maintained eye contact as she followed instructions well. Her snapper was sloppy wet every time. Mouth sloppy wet. I would often see different spirits standing in the corner of the room we was in while we was having sex. Many times she would stop and say she felt something walk into the room while we having sex. There was times where her spirit spouse attacked me after sex. There was times where her spirit spouse interrupted me and her during sex.
These are the consequences of doing a love spell on a person. I came across the story on here. It was actually in Spanish, so I'm gonna go ahead and translate it to English, and I'll tag the original creator down here. So Gloria has been practicing witchcraft for the past 5 years, so much so that she has become very well known around her neighborhood, and she has a ton of clients. One day she was having a birthday party at her house, so she invited a bunch of her friends and a bunch of her close neighbors. When she sees a girl that she didn't recognize enter her home, she assumed that this was probably one of her friends who had invited another friend. The girl goes up to her, introduces herself as Peggy, and tells Gloria that she needs her help. That she has fallen madly in love with this man that wants absolutely nothing to do with her. Gloria advised her against it and told her about all the consequences that come from love spells, that you can't mess with someone's free will. Peggy said that she didn't care, that whatever the consequences were, that she was willing to deal with it. The next day, Peggy went to Gloria's house and Peggy handed her a jar. In this jar, there was this white powder. Peggy told her to take a very small amount out of the jar and to add it to one of his alcoholic drinks. And to also do it on a Friday, because apparently Fridays are the most strongest days to do this stuff. That Friday, Peggy ended up having a huge party at her house where she invited just about everyone, including the boy and Gloria. As the party was going, everybody was dancing, singing, having a great time. Peggy starts getting a bunch of drinks ready for her friends. Gloria notices that Peggy takes one of the drinks and puts it to the side. She then opens the jar that she had in her pocket and she dumps all of the powder in the drink. Gloria right away runs over to Peggy and tells her, "That is too much. I told you to only give him a small amount. You have no idea the consequences that this is gonna create." Peggy then snaps at Gloria and tells her to mind her business, that this had nothing to do with her, that she already paid her for her work, and that whatever happens now, to just back off. Gloria pretty much wiped her hands clean and left it at that. The minute this guy took a sip of the drink, it was almost out of a movie scene. He became completely head over heels in love with Peggy and could not keep his hands off of her. The whole night they were just making out and all over each other. A few weeks go by and Peggy gives Gloria a call and tells her, "Hey, what you gave me worked amazing, but I no longer want to be with him. He has become way too obsessive, very toxico, to the point that he's even jealous of my own brothers. I wanted him, but not like this. I no longer want to be with him." Gloria told her that there's nothing that she can do about it, that when she tried to interfere, that she had told her to mind her business, so that's exactly what she was gonna do. Weeks go by and Gloria ends up receiving news that literally chilled her to the bone. Apparently, Peggy had broken up with the guy, and when she did so, the guy became so insane that he drove his bike right off of a bridge, unaliving himself. All because of that spell. A month later, Peggy calls her terrified, crying her heart out, begging Gloria for help. She told her that after the boy had passed away, that she continued to see him in the home, that he wakes her up at night, that she hears his voice, that he still is around at all times, that even after he passed away, he continues to be obsessed over her, even after death.
Now, y'all know I'm gonna always keep it real with y'all, right? I came across this post on Facebook and I couldn't do nothing but laugh. As a hoodoo practitioner, this is not nothing new. It says, ladies, do this to his tea. He will never leave you. Trust me and thank me later. Now, y'all know what I'm gonna say. I don't play with shit like this. However, this is another form of a binding spell. Just like we talked about with the tuna and the spaghetti. One thing that our ancestors used frequently back in the day was urine. Yeah, y'all heard me right. I ain't gonna say they was using it like this, although I'm sure many were. If you didn't know, the first morning's urine is like a powerhouse. Why? Because it's full of ammonia. Natural, it's strong, and it gets the job done. Back in the day, they even used it to wash clothes. Ugh. My grandma said it kept them white, removed stains and grease. With that same power, they knew it had spiritual uses too. In hoodoo, urine was used for many different workings. Beauty spells, domination, protection, attraction, all of that. If any of y'all from the deep south, I know you probably heard your grandma say a time or two, get that baby's pamper and rub it on your face. Grandma, what are you talking about? It said that baby's urine removes acne and tones the skin. For protection, a cap full of urine, red brick dust, add it with water, add it to the corners of your home. That removes negative energy and scrubs it on a deeper level. And of course, for love magic spells, that's where that picture comes in. But I ain't playing with nothing like that. Whoever's meant for you, trust and believe you don't have to do all that. Always remember, if you do that, just know it comes with consequences. Because you're messing with somebody's free will. Be easy. That's all I'm saying. Y'all get in the comments and let me know your thoughts. You ever heard of using urine in your spiritual practices, or is this news to you? Peace, love, and light, and gratitude for watching.
Are you guys ready for another brujeria story? Because this one is crazy, and yes, it is yet again another love spell kind. And what I've learned from the last brujeria story that I did, apparently love spells will never work because you can never take someone's free will away. Didn't know that. Wow. Scary. Let's carry on. Why did I just turn into the Grinch? So this story is from Patricia, and she starts off by saying that I regret every single thing I did. She starts off by telling us that ever since she was little, her life has been hard, and it's because she's always been bullied or ridiculed by the way she looks physically, and that people have told her time and time again that she was ugly. She remembers how every Valentine's Day, all the girls would have their boyfriends or their secret admirers, and they would get gifts, and she would always be by herself without anybody showing her compassion or love. So at this point, years have passed, and she says that her story remains the same. Like, she's never had a boyfriend, she's never had a partner. She mentions that by this point she was very desperate and she was very broken because of this. She says that she gets a job at this place that manufactures cars, and that's where she makes friends with this girl named Yolanda. She says that a few months after starting her job there, this new guy comes along, and he was the most gorgeous looking guy ever, that every girl at that place was attracted to him, but she knew that she would never have the slightest of chances with him. So Yolanda would always see how Patricia would be staring at this guy like you could tell she was in love with him. So one day she asked her, hey, do you want me to take you to this brujo that I know, and he could make an amarre so that he could fall in love with you? Patricia mentions how she never believed in brujeria, witchcraft, but she was that desperate that she's like, well, let's try this out, and if it doesn't work, oh well. So both Patricia and Yolanda go to the brujo, and he says that he needs a couple of things to make this work. I'm not gonna tell you everything that she took, but some of the things that she needed was hair from the guy and a picture of him. So she says she's brought everything that the brujo needed, and the amarre was done. She says that remarkably it actually worked, and she started dating this guy. She says that she was the happiest she could have ever been, because after all the years of never having someone love her, she was so in love, she was happy, and she felt that it was real. She said that something that the brujo never told her beforehand was that everything comes at a price, and unfortunately she was gonna have to pay that. She says that the brujo would ask her to sacrifice certain animals a couple of times. She said that she didn't accept, because she didn't feel right killing animals, and plus she already got what she wanted, which was the guy. So she thought it would be easy to just ignore the brujo and all his request of sacrificing animals. She says that a few months passed after she started ignoring the brujo when strange things started happening in her house. Gee, I wonder why. She said that at night when she was asleep, she would hear random noises, and During the day, random objects like a cup or a plate would just fly out of nowhere. She said that the relationship with the guy started to go downhill and that it sucks for her to say this, but it was almost like he had woken up and finally saw her for who she really was. She also said that on a couple occasions he started telling her that he has no idea why he was even with her. She said that ultimately he breaks up with her, and at this point she was back to feeling depressed and alone, but she was more concerned about the paranormal things that were happening in her house, so she goes back to the brujo, and obviously he is pissed off at her. Angrily, the brujo told her that she didn't keep up her end of the deal, and the reason why she had to sacrifice the animals was to keep the entities that made this happen happy. This is gonna be really sad, but she says that she had to sacrifice a couple of animals. She had to do crazy rituals and mentions how her life has never been the same after this. She says that even though she did what the brujo told her to do, which was sacrifice those animals, do the rituals for the entities, they will not stop following her because of how she did them wrong in the beginning. She says that now she's alone and having to pay the price, and she deeply regrets everything that she did to have that guy fall in love with her, and that she believes that she's going to be alone for the rest of her life and paying back what she did for the rest of her life. And that is the ending. And if this is not a warning to like do this kind of stuff to someone or to make someone fall in love with you, like do not do it. If someone does not love you, please move on. There's so many more people out in the world, okay? Don't say I didn't warn you.
Let me talk to my sweet baby girls, my sweet queens, about this love spell stuff. That's what you do not try to go manipulate, okay? Love. That's a real powerful thing right there. So what's going to happen when you stop feeling like you feel about them? You didn't put this thing or have somebody put this on them. Because let me tell you what comes with that love spell. I want him to love me, adore me, think about me all the time. That's what he going to do. And he ain't going to want nobody else to do that. Meaning your children, your mother, your daddy, your brother, your sister. They become jealous of your brothers, your sisters. Everybody don't want nobody around you. It comes with rage. These love spells will get you killed. So, think twice about that.
So I wanted to give you guys a quick little update on what's going on with my uncle. This is the uncle that found out that his wife of 20 years has been doing brujeria on him. But just to give you guys a quick little recap, my uncle found out that his wife of 20 years has been doing brujeria on him. He realized this when he noticed that his pillow had a weird smell. There was a smell that he couldn't get rid of no matter what he did. One day he came home early from work when she wasn't there, decided to rip the pillow open and found an old pair of his dirty underwear and an old pair of her dirty underwear wrapped up inside his pillow with a bunch of other stuff. He automatically knew that this was some type of brujeria. She has since denied it and has pretty much played dumb. He went to a curandero that then told him that that wasn't the only thing that she has been doing. There is an aloe plant that she has in her yard where she has something buried underneath it. This is all things that she uses to like dominate him. But anyways, here's the update. She has barricaded herself in the house ever since he confronted her. And mind you, he confronted her the day before Christmas. It is now, I think, January 11th or 12th. She's still been barricaded in the house. She refuses to leave. The curandero told him that they need to go to the house and they need to do a full cleansing and they need to go underneath this aloe plant. And I feel like she knows, so she's refusing to leave. He is spending more and more time at my grandmother's house. He's just trying to get away from her. He doesn't speak to her. Pretty much she says, this is my house, we're married, even though the house is under his name. Regardless, they've been married for over 20 years. Meanwhile, he has been out and about, not coming home some nights. She's going crazy, calling family members and friends, trying to see where he's at. So pretty much the moral of the story is don't do brujeria on people to try to force them to love you. Find someone who truly loves you. Because in the end, it's going to backfire and that person's going to end up hating your guts, which is literally what's happening right now. I have a huge update on the story I shared a couple weeks ago about my uncle finding out that his wife of 20 plus years has been doing brujeria on him. He found this out when his pillow started to smell really weird, so he ripped it open and found an old pair of his boxers and an old pair of her underwear wrapped inside of it. He then went to a santero who confirmed that she has been doing this type of dark magic in order to make him extremely submissive to her and for him to just blindly follow everything she says. Since then, he of course confronted her and her response was to barricade herself in the home and also to badmouth him to the kids. They have a 22-year-old daughter and an 18-year-old son. She has been talking a bunch of crap, spreading a bunch of lies and rumors, just trying to get the kids to be against him. Well, last week, his daughter, who happens to be a lawyer, was trying to get him to sign papers that would give away the home, like sign away his rights to the home, like to the wife. She was trying to trick him, like the way she worded it was making it seem like it was for the family, but as he looked closer, it turns out that he was literally signing his rights away. He, of course, refused to, and shortly after, he became gravely ill. Like, I'm telling you, this man has been healthy his whole life. They had to rush him to the ER. He had extreme pains, shakes all over the place, hasn't been able to use the bathroom. The doctors ran every test. They can't find anything wrong with him. They ended up just sending him back home with some pain meds. He has been at the house, and the wife is refusing to allow anybody from the family to enter the home. My grandmother has been able to reach him by phone, and he told her that he became gravely ill after he ate this plate of food that his daughter had brought for him. So we believe that they may have put something in the food that made him sick. My grandmother then reached out to the santero that had helped him the first time, and he confirmed that, yeah, they in fact are trying to do brujeria on him, and they're trying to slowly, essentially like unalive him. They want him out of the way so they can keep the house, they can keep his pension, they can keep everything. Tonight, my grandmother and a bunch of my family members plan on going to the house and practically pushing their way in, like they're getting my uncle out of there. So I'll keep you guys updated as soon as I hear more. And I do want to add that this is all happening in Colombia, which is the reason why I'm not there breaking down her freaking door. So here's this whole situation happening with my uncle. This is the uncle that found out that his wife of 20 years was doing brujeria on him. He confronted her, and her response was to retaliate by pretty much causing him to be gravely ill, and he's practically on his deathbed. So my grandmother ended up showing up with my cousin and some of my other relatives. They brought the santero with them, but disguised them as like a family friend. Like the wife was kind of like, who is that? And then my grandmother was like, I'm going in to see my son. So when they went into the room where my uncle was, mind you, my uncle has been in bed for like days. The wife literally stood on the doorway and would not leave. She was just like watching everything they did. The only reason why my grandmother hasn't confronted the wife was because the santero told her not to. He said that the minute that she becomes aware that they're aware, she's gonna retaliate even more. Because right now she has her suspicions that my family knows, but no one has like come forward and like confronted her on it. My grandmother ended up distracting the wife to get her away from the room so the santero could like do his job. I'm not exactly sure what santero did, but he prayed over him, he gave him something, he worked his magic. After he was done, I guess the wife kind of caught on that something was going on. She kind of showed up in the room and was like, what's going on? It's time for you guys to leave. Like, he's tired, he's sick, etc. But the work had already been done. The very next day, my uncle woke up and it was as if he never had any type of health issues. Like, he woke up perfectly fine. Which 110% confirms that it was the wife doing her dirt. Moving forward, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen. It's going to be a long legal battle because, you know, they were married for so long, and the land and the house and everything. And not to mention his kids. Even though his kids, they did kind of backstab him, like they're still his kids. He has pretty much been advised to not accept any type of food from her or drinks, etc. and to just be out of the house as much as possible. My family is helping him like file for divorce and the whole legal aspect of it. So, I mean, I'll keep you guys updated if something new happens, but thankfully he is doing a lot better.
Me and love spells got fucking beef. If you don't know, spell work and certain spells are only akin to certain groups of people. So, for example, I did a honey jar knowing that I wasn't of Mexican descent, and the karma that I fucking got was absolutely insane. I got jumped. My grandpa died. I went to jail for a night. I could go on and on about the karma that I got after I did a honey jar spell. And honestly, I think they're even more pointless because it's just kind of like spell work is technically doing a spell, manifesting, and thinking that it's gonna work, manifesting. Like, it's just all manifestation anyway, so like, what is the point? Also, a lot of people are like telling me like, oh, am I gonna be able to manifest if the tarot reader I hired for $400 told me that I can't manifest and he's never coming back? You get to decide if you want to listen to some random tarot reader on your For You page or whatever one you paid for. You get to decide if the 3D gets to affect your own thoughts. You are the operant power. You get to decide what your future looks like. I don't care if some random tarot reader said that you can't do it. My head is fucking throbbing right now. I'm so fucking pressed. Like, I'm so fucking mad. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you took something from it. Bye. I am back with another spooky story. And this one is a love spell gone wrong. We're gonna call the person who submitted the story Mary. So she says she was 14 when she met this guy and he was 16 at the time. So they met really, really young. She immediately fell in love with him the first time she saw him. She tried talking to him and getting close to him. However, he was not feeling her. He kept rejecting her. She didn't like that he was ignoring her and that he wasn't feeling her. So she just moved on with her life and just tried to forget about the guy. At this point, it's been a couple of months and she still has not managed to forget about the guy. So she decided that she's gonna hit him up and try to shoot her shot one more time. One theme that you will find in this story is that Mary is extremely persistent. So she hits him up again, and this time he actually gives her a chance. So they started talking and seeing each other, and pretty much their meetup started getting sexual. Red flag. Things wind up progressing between them, and he winds up taking her V card. She says she loved him and trusted him and wanted to be with him so much that she willingly gave him her innocence. So they kept talking and seeing each other until 3 months later. 3 months later, she chilling and she randomly gets a text from him. And the text said, "Get the fuck out of here. Stop texting me." Meow. And Mary, being hurt and confused, she tries to text him, blowing up his phone, calling him, and he's not answering. And her being hard-headed, she didn't want to leave him alone. She wound up doing some stalking, and she figures out that he got back together with his ex at that point. And by the time she figures this out, he had already blocked her on everything. So she tries to move on again, but this time it was much harder, considering he took her V card and she loved him a lot. She said she used to buy him clothes, food, anything you can name to keep this man happy. Well, this boy. So boom, one day she is tired of being hurt and she's still persistent on getting back together with that boy. So she decided to do a love spell on him. Now she says that she's Arab and she believes in voodoo and dark magic and all that stuff. So she found a guy that did love spells and voodoo online, called him and explained everything to him. And he told her that he can fix it and make him love her again, all for a price of $300 US. $300. $300 to get a man to fall in love with you. Wild. So she transferred him the money and he got to work. And Mary too was fast at work, because during this time she was making new accounts to stalk that boy. She used to text him from these new accounts and he used to block her every single time. But she couldn't get the hint, so she would just keep going. So the voodoo guy would FaceTime her while he was in the cemetery doing rituals. This voodoo priest guy had his picture and her picture printed at the cemetery doing rituals. He used to send her videos of dolls and other kinds of rituals at the time. Even the voodoo priest guy told Mary to stop texting that boy. Let him work and give the spell some time to work for itself. He explicitly told her to stop texting that boy, and Mary did not listen. A week later, the voodoo priest FaceTimes her and he starts doing more chanting rituals. So he told her he was going to do the final ritual, which was going to tie the whole love spell thing together. So she got tired out of nowhere and decided to take a nap. She doesn't know if this is a dream or this is real. But at the time, her window was open and the closet was also cracked open. As she's sleeping, she starts to feel this heavy cold wind coming from the window. And she saw something peeking from the closet like a creepy creature. And she was so freaked out and she tried to get up, but she couldn't. Then she starts to feel her body floating up as if something was taking possession of her. And she is watching all of this happen to herself like an outer body experience. And she is, needless to say, confused and scared. And suddenly she wakes up. It's all over. The voodoo priest texts her and told her that the rituals were done. He told her, do not text the boy under any circumstances. Give it time, he will come to you. So she waited, and after a couple of days, she got tired of waiting. She just really wanted to talk to him. So she broke the rule and texted him. And this time, he hated her. After the voodoo guy, she just got progressively more obsessed with the boy. At this point, she is a full-on crazy ex. She got into fights with him, like physical fights. His mom, his ex, she literally found people that were close to him and fought them. Her mental health was so fucked up by that point that she even thought about getting him tattooed on her. That's how crazy she was about him. So after a couple of months of this going on, it's like fights after fights every single day. Her mom noticed something really wrong and decided to send her away to go live with her brother. Like, you're wildin'. And her brother, mind you, lived in a different country. She cried and feels crazy about him, but ultimately she had to leave. While she was away, she decided to get herself together by praying and asking God for forgiveness. She asked God to remove whatever spell that she must be under, and she really did try to move on. Well, after 7 months of working on herself and praying and cleansing her energy, she was better than before and ready to come back home. She says it's been 1 to 2 years since all this happened, and till this day she still thinks about him. She misses him still and loves him deep down. She says she doesn't know what went wrong with the rituals or spells, and that's her story. She says till this day they talk sometimes. This time he says he does not hate her and he is okay with her being around as long as she's not acting crazy and obsessed again. So yup, love spell backfired. Stop doing love spells on people. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. If this is your first time seeing my face, make sure you follow me on TikTok. If you're looking for better, longer, spooky stories, you better go over on my YouTube channel. The link is on my bio. There's a link tree there. If you really do fuck with me, make sure you follow me on Instagram just so that I know that it's real. I wanted to do a story from Nigeria, but nobody submitted a story from Nigeria. When you're submitting a story, please be sure to let me know where you're submitting your story from. Again, we're still going to Nigeria. If you're from Nigeria and you got a spooky story, make sure you send it to me. I love you, my abducted humans, from your favorite Haitian homegirl.
Happy Saturday, people. Sunday. Sorry. Happy Sunday. Excuse me. I'm sitting here watching YouTube, right? I'm watching Miss Luna Nova, right? And she's telling these stories about love spells. And that reminds me, I got a love spell story. Not my story, but a family member story. It's my cousin. So, back in, I would say 2020, 2021, my cousin, I would go over my aunt's house and I would, visit her and everything. And my cousin stayed there with her at the time. And one day this guy comes up. And my cousin, she was dealing with this guy before, and I guess they reconnected or relinked or whatever, right? So after that, I would see him often because I would be at my aunt's house like faithfully every weekend, like faithfully. Because I would work Monday through Friday, and Saturday and Sunday I'm outside, I'm at auntie's house, right? So I went from there, and then my aunt moved on the same street but a couple of houses down, and he ended up moving in. So my cousin ended up having a baby girl from him. And throughout the midst of, from the time I first saw him until the time they, conceived a child, and my little cousin, right before my little cousin was born, my cousin was actually pregnant with their daughter. And, my cousin had a rough pregnancy too. But anyway, so I would see so many crazy things between them two, like, they would fight all the time. And I'm not talking about no regular fighting. This would be like knockdown, drag out, like fist fight, breaking property. And he was one of them dudes where if you get mad, whatever he bought you, he took it back. Like, she had these $10 slides, I think, or $6 slides. She said he bought her from Walmart or City Trends or somewhere. And he got mad and he took them all because something dealing with jealousy. He was super jealous. And I would always ask my cousin, like, girl, like, why do you put up with that? Like, y'all are way too toxic. If it get to the point where y'all got to put y'all hands on each other, y'all don't need to be together. Like, what's wrong? And she was like, I don't know why he act like that, cousin. I don't know. He just, he's always possessive and he always acting all jealous of every little thing. And he won't let me breathe. He just always up my ass. He won't let me breathe. So I'm talking to my auntie. So we sitting there chilling. And this particular day, it got real crazy. So my auntie had to ask him to leave the house. So he leave the house. And my cousin called the cops. I think she called the cops on him or whatever. And he ended up coming back. Like, she was like, I'm done with him, this and that. This was the day he tried to take the little $6 slides. And she was like, I'm done with him. I don't want to be with him no more, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm the type of person, I hear you, but I believe you when I see it, right? So, fast forward like a couple of weeks later, a month later, he right back there. And I'm like, and I asked my auntie, I was like, what is it that them two just can't leave each other alone? Now, all this time I would ask my cousin, why? What happened? What happened? She would say, oh, I don't know why he acting like that. Auntie spilled the beans. Auntie said they went somewhere. Now, mind you, we live in Tampa, Florida. So she was like, they went somewhere and they did a love spell. And I looked at my auntie, I was like, they did a what? She was like, they did a love spell. I was like, and my eyes got big. And my auntie was like, well, I said, auntie, that is very dangerous and that is very deadly. I was like, at this point, I don't even know if that spell can be unbinded. A lot of these love spells, once you do them, you can't undo them. I said, and it's scary now. This turns it up a whole nother notch because someone can end up unalive from this situation. That's how strong these love spells is. And that explains why he is so possessive and won't leave him alone. And she, act a little nonchalant about it and downplay it while she can't stay away from him either. So they went back and forth through a lot. I'm talking about the fact of crashing cars with the kids in the car, him crashing her car, like chasing her. One day I heard about a car tool, like a wrench or something getting involved, hitting somebody or throwing somebody. He got beat up real bad by some dudes, and he ended up having to eat through a straw, and he was stealing until I was living with them, and he went right back, like he would go to jail, get out. They back and forth. Them two went back and forth. To this day, I don't know how they got away from each other, but I don't know if the spell wore off or whatever. I don't know, but to this day, she has somebody else, but it took a long time, knockout, drag out, like years, for them two to finally leave each other alone. So I say to you females out there and you men, don't be out here doing these damn love spells, bro. For real now. That shit is retarded. If you got to manipulate someone's free will to be with you or to love you, then motherfucker, you unhinged. Something is wrong with you. And if you don't live your life spiritually every single day, and this not even just with love spells, this with any spell. If you don't live your life spiritually every single day, just like a religious person, if you're not religious every single day, don't run to no spell or no spell book or no spells when you need something. Because 9 times out of 10, you're very ignorant, which means uneducated about what you're about to get yourself into and what you're doing to yourself or others. And like I say, these love spells, they literally can turn deadly. And I mean that, deadly. So I just had to get on here and share that quick story time with y'all. Watch what you're doing. Don't be out here doing no love spells. Okay? All right, y'all. Love you. Toodles, family.
I love that. Story time. So somebody from the Virgin Islands submitted this story. This one is a binding spell gone wrong. Now, if you don't know what a binding spell is, it is very different from a love spell. A love spell is supposed to basically make that person who already has love for you fall deeper in love with you. However, a binding spell is what keeps two people stuck together. So this girl, we'll call her Barbara, she met this man at this bar. She said upon this man walking up to her, he was her typical type. So without even knowing anything about this man, she was willing to risk it all already. So this beautiful man approaches her at the bar and they get into a conversation. So they get to know each other and they realize that they both actually have a lot in common. So Barbara starts asking him questions like, what do you do for a living? And she finds out that he is a CEO at a company. So at this point, she's intrigued. She's like, you fine and you a CEO? Where do you work? He pulls out his business card. He gives it to Barbara. Barbara's looking at it like, what the fuck? And when she's looking at that business card, come to find out, this dude is official. This guy is talking about all the people he partnered with, from big companies to companies that you haven't heard of. So this guy is working all over the country, all over the world, not just this country, not just this island. Apparently, he has dual citizenship in Virgin Islands and in Europe. So he does this, he travels, and he got the money. So she's like, okay, well, to make conversation, what car do you drive? And he's like, the most expensive car in the parking lot. So he buys her a drink or two and they're talking, chatting it up, night is coming to an end. Mr. Man wanted Barbara to go back home with him, and Barbara, being impressed by him and his pockets, let's be for real, was more than eager to go sleep with that man. So she does. And FYI, if you're under 18, just scroll out now. Because she said that dirt was bomb. She said she ain't never experienced no Pinot Noir like this. And then on top of that, the brain, if you picking up what I'm putting down, was immaculate. So you tell me you meet a fine ass man that you're totally attracted to. He got money for days and he got the good going on. Barbara was like, oh yeah, this man mine. So over the course of the next couple of weeks, Barbara and this man continued to see each other. A month into their relationship, he goes to the bathroom and Barbara's on the bed and he leaves his phone unlocked. So Barbara goes through the phone. He finds out not only does this dude have a whole wife, but he also has a list of bitches that he's talking to. It's like he got them on rotation. But Barbara was puzzled because like over the past few weeks or this month, they've been hanging out pretty often. So how does he have time to entertain all these people? And y'all, why as she looking through the phone starts to ring? And who calling? Guess what? Not the wife, but one of his girls. So Barbara pick up and this girl is claiming to be homeboy's girlfriend. And Barbara's like, I'm sorry that you seem to be confused. The boy is mine. Thank you. But she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm his girlfriend. We're together right now, so you should stop calling this number ASAP. No, Rocky. So he comes out the bathroom. She confronts him and he's like, don't worry about it. Like, I was really gonna break shit off with all these people because you're the one for me. And Barbara said whether he was lying or telling the truth, it didn't matter because she had already decided her spot. And her spot was to be his wife. So she decided that, she wanted him to herself. So what did she do? She said, okay, well, a love spell is not gonna stop him from cheating on me. So what I need is a binding spell. This is a very valuable man. So every time he goes out and does whatever the fuck he's doing, I need him to always know his way back home. So she does this whole thing. The man had locks. While he's sleeping, she cuts off a piece of his locks, cuts her lock, and sews her lock onto his hair while he was asleep. She says this lock is like way in the back of his head, like you wouldn't even be able to tell. And she took his lock, and you guessed it, sewed it in with her hair. And she said when they were doing it to seal the deal, she always suggested something to him subconsciously. Because you don't have to talk to communicate when you're getting intimate. Long story short, 6 months, she winds up being with the dude. They move in together. Beautiful. Everything was going great. He goes to work. He comes back. But she started to learn more things about this man. Like, this man actually didn't like to clean very much. Even though she was a housewife and she was well taken care of, she admitted that the cheating really never stopped. Even though he knew his way back home, the cheating never stopped. And that was becoming a safety issue for her because she was still having with him. She said the cheating got so disrespectful to the point where random women were finding where they lived, come popping up at their crib and threatening Barbara for that man. Barbara was holding her ground. One day, Barbara finds out that this man slept with her cousin. Like, you really have no respect for me. And because she was a stay-at-home wife, when this man would come back from work and he was frustrated and angry or say Barbara didn't cook, guess what? To find out, this was an angry man. And also, Barbara's now finding out that he didn't like to take no for an answer. So when it came to things like sex, when she didn't want to do it, trigger warning, she would always wind up doing it anyway. It got to a point where Barbara said, even for me, I've had enough. She managed to save a lot of money and take a lot of his money as well, and she created an escape plan and she was gonna escape. Day comes and Barbara successfully escaped. Except Barbara would continue to be stalked and taunted by this man till this day. She said she had went to the police. She said she relocated, moved to America. This man followed her to America. She said she doesn't even know how he finds her every single time, but he does. In America, she set out a restraining order against him. Even though she's cut that lock that had his hair on her head off, the problem did not cease. This man is stuck. It doesn't matter. This man would always wind up at her front door at any point. At least he knows where home is. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you are looking forward to more spooky stories like this, mermaid encounters, voodoo stories, you better go ahead and leave me a follow on TikTok. And once you're done, you better make sure you head over to my YouTube channel. My name on YouTube is Rebecca's Journey. You can look that up, or you can go where it says Instagram on top of my page. Click that. Both my Instagram link and my YouTube link will pop up. And while you're there, make sure you follow me on Instagram so I know that it's real. Duh. And as far as my abducted humans go, I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in every single time. And even when I don't pop up on y'all For You page, y'all make a way to find me. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. The love is so deep.
Hello and good day. So I will be in Florence, Mississippi on August the 20th. So if anyone needs any help while I'm in the area, you can reach out, shoot me an email to see if we can catch up, if I can connect with you while I'm there. Now, moving into my story for today. So I'll be going to help out a lady. She contacted me because it was just a lot that was going on. So she set up a Zoom session. So it was a Zoom deliverance session, and immediately I could just tell that she was going through a lot. I immediately started seeing like witchcraft symbols all around her. So when I started seeing that, that's an indication that someone has placed some type of witchcraft on a person, like some type of curse, some type of spell, something like that. Now, in her case, a guy that she was dealing with, this was her boyfriend, she was dealing with him, and it all actually started from a glass of tea. So she was drinking some tea, and as soon as she finished drinking this tea, she immediately started giving her boyfriend, performing oral sex on him. So she said she doesn't know what happened. It's almost like something took over her. She doesn't even know why she did this. And by her doing this, of course, this is what it started. This was opened the door. So to find out, he actually placed something, he put something in her tea, and this made her do this. Now, after drinking the tea and after her doing the oral sex, you know, everything just started kind of going haywire. She was feeling different things that was moving around in her body. She noticed that her energy was very low. Started having like a lot of nightmares. Started feeling like depressed with anxiety, and just feeling very paranoid to the point like she thought that she was gonna die, like thinking that she wasn't going to make it. He was putting like tracking devices on her car, cameras in the home, you know, of course, to watch her. She started losing weight. She lost like 40 pounds within a few months. So she was just dropping weight. She noticed that he was traveling to New Orleans a lot, and she said she felt like he was going there and it was attached to witchcraft somehow. So of course, you know, she prayed, and Yeshua started speaking to her through dreams. So she had one dream, and she saw a lady pouring gasoline in his mouth, and as he was swallowing the gasoline, flames were coming out of his eyes. She also started getting visions that he was a Satanist. So I started to see that he was a Freemason, he was a warlock, and he had actually put like a love spell on her. So this is something else that I see a lot. Now with these Freemasons, and of course I've made videos about them before. Now most of them don't even know what they've signed up for, especially the newer ones that are not like very high up in it. But he was like 33rd degree, so he's pretty high up. And he said, he told her that he was a shapeshifter, and that he had something in him, or some type of gift that no one could take. So again, he was a warlock, and most of them that know, you know, of course they think that they have these powers and they can do whatever to get whatever they want to get. So she said she was asking him, you know, are you doing something to me? Are you placing something on me, spells or curses or whatever? And she said he would just laugh and say, well, why would I do that? You know, just laugh in a joking manner. So again, Yeshua, the Most High God, continued to show her different things about him. Now, she said, of course, he wears like all of the Freemasons jewelry, and every time she's talking and asking him questions, he's constantly like laughing and saying, "No, I'm not doing anything to you. Now why would I do that? So just like I said, making jokes about it." So she said she stayed up for like 72 hours. So that's like 3 days that she couldn't get any sleep. And she said when she couldn't get any sleep, she noticed that almost like it was a vision, but she started hearing things through the vision. So she started hearing like a full conversation that her boyfriend was having with someone, and he was saying a lot of demonic things. So after this vision that she had, she said God told her after he leaves the house that she needs to run, she needs to leave. So that's what she did. So once he left, she packed up and she left, and she left out of the house. She moved out of the home. Now, of course, she's feeling like she's not gonna make it. So I did a deliverance session with her, and as soon as we saw each other on Zoom, she immediately started purging. So I hadn't started praying or anything. Things were coming out of her as soon as she jumped on. So once I started to pray, of course, she started to cough, kind of started to vomit up. It looks like a white substance where the demons are being destroyed. So things started coming out of her body pretty rapidly. These things were moving and coming out. She was telling me how she was feeling like a pressure in her head, and also she said that he was replacing her vitamins with different pills. So he was just doing a lot of stuff to her. So of course, I was praying to push all of this stuff out of her. Now she has witchcraft spirits attached to her, marine spirits, the spirit of Jezebel, the spirit of Leviathan, and of course he placed a love spell on her. So I'll be traveling there to get to help her. Yeshua will free her, and this witchcraft, this love spell, all this stuff will be broken and to be removed. Everyone have
Story time about how I did a love spell on my sneaky link, and my grandfather came back from the dead and cursed me out in a dream. Now, this is just for reenactment purposes. This is not the real spell. I'm not going to put y'all onto that because don't ever do nothing stupid like that. Either way, I did it because I was dumb and I really wanted my sneaky link to be obsessed with me because he was fine as full and he had a big droop. But anyway, it's stupid. Don't do it. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire, word and cauldron bubble. Double, double, toil and trouble, something wicked this way comes. So then I went to bed. I thought nothing of it. In the dream, my whole family was at my grandfather's house, and we was outside kicking it up like old times. When all of a sudden, I turn around and I see my grandfather. I'm like, Papa? And he's just looking at me. And by now, he's dead. So I'm like, Papa, oh my God. So he lets me cry and get my little hug in. And then he's like, is this what you're focusing on? You're real stupid. Other things you need to be focusing on. And this is what you're doing? You crazy? You're stupid? And then, I'm not going to hold you, after he said all that, he ended up shooting up in the air and screaming, malicious! Malicious! Now, to answer your question, did it work? To be quite honest, I think that my grandfather undid the spell after he cursed me out. And when he said, malicious, I think it was over. I think he canceled it. However, I will say that it's been about 3 years since I did that. And that man is still, to this day, 10 tones down. And I don't even want him no more. So why is he here? I don't know. What I do know is that it's not against his will because he's not obsessed with me. He's not crazy over me or anything. But he just always comes back all the time. So was it the love spell or was it the, oh, she wally wally, oh, she bang bang, she wally wally?
I want to talk about a time where somebody did a love spell on me. I done had a couple love spells put on me, but this time it was so intense. People don't really talk about like what actually happens when you have a love spell on you, how you feel, and how do you know when a love spell is put on you, right? So my ex had put a love spell on me, and she had, you know, a yellow, not a yellow, but a pink candle. She took my hair, put it in a candle. She like carved my name and her name in a candle. And when she was doing this, she was saying that she was doing it because she wanted to make our connection, you know, solid and strong. At this time, I didn't know nothing about like love spells or like nothing like that. So I was just taking her word for it, like that. Like, I'm weird. I'm doing whatever you want to do type, you know? Later down the road, when I had got a reading, they informed me that she put a love spell on me, right? So what made me actually get the reading was because how I was feeling. You know what I mean? Like, when you know yourself, you know, and my discernment is top tier. So I just knew I was just off. Like, I was thinking about this person 24/7. Like, the car they drove, I would see it all the time. I would have dreams every night of this person. And I'm not over-exaggerating. Every night, like clockwork. And I would wake up like, something not right. Like, I would call my sister like, I'm thinking about this person too much. And, like, if you know me, you know I'm not the obsessive type. Like, I'm just not that type. So, like, I just knew something was off. Like, it was just odd. Like, every second of the day, I'm thinking about you. I'm hearing your name. I'm seeing your car. It was just like, something was off. When you know, you know. So I'm like, I gotta, like, find somebody to give me a reading because something's not right. And lo and behold, the reader said they put a love spell on you and put me in a honey jar. But yeah, like, I just felt weird. Like, I just felt like I wasn't myself. Like, it was to the point where, like, I was obsessing over this person. And, like, I was obsessively thinking of him. I wanted to be around him all the time. And I'm not even like that. That's not even my personality. Like, if you know me, you know, like, I'm mad nonchalant. Like, yeah, I can get clingy, but I'm not obsessive. So I became obsessive. And it just wasn't, I didn't feel myself. Like, some of the thoughts that I was having weren't my thoughts because I don't think like that. So, like, when you know who you are and you're aware of who you are and you know something off, get a reading or just do some research on, like, why I'm thinking about this person. Why do I feel like this? Like I was doing that. Like, I was just OD on just thinking about what I could do to figure out what's going on with me. And I had to get a reading. And what I thought got confirmed because I knew something was put on me. I just didn't know it was a love spell. And a honey jar. But yeah, you know, I did my little reversals and I got it off. And that was just one time that it happened to me, but then it happened to me again. And I was actually prepared this time because I already knew what I was dealing with the last time. So I knew what to look for. I knew, like, the signs and everything. But long story short, I really don't condone when people be trying to take others' free will. Like, if somebody want to be with you, let them be with you. They want to obsess over you, let them obsess over you on their own. You trying to conjure up magic, kitchen magic, whatever, candle magic, whatever the case may be, that's not cool. Like, I think that's weird. I think people like that need to, like, be locked away. That's just my preference. Like, that's just my opinion. Because it's like, it gives, like, you're insecure. It gives you don't love yourself enough to even feel like somebody can love you authentically. You gotta go burn a candle or do some honey jar magic or put somebody's hair in a jar or on a candle or just a little, like, I think it's weird, to be honest, but, you know, y'all gonna do what y'all do.
Okay, so I want to put y'all up on game when it comes to love spell tactics being done by a man, because we always hear about, you know, the period blood and spaghetti, but we never hear about tactics being done by men, and they do love spells too. This tactic requires the use of bodily fluids too, and is called a scent spell. If you are in the bathroom doing any type of hygiene maintenance, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, taking a bath, getting ready to go out, whatever the case is, this is the time that they will suddenly have the need to do a bowel movement. And you will notice that it's not once in a blue moon. It's pretty much majority of the time that you are in the bathroom, they come in to take a shit. And what this does is it scents you. It scents you in several different ways. It scents you to alert other men that you are taken. It's done off of instinct because they're like animals. It also strips you of your feminine power. If you don't understand how powerful your femininity is, it is very powerful. It also strips you of your confidence. You'll notice that you just don't step like you used to. You don't have the same spark that you normally, used to have. You just don't have it. And if you are in a low vibrative state, it's so difficult to be aware of what's going on around you. And if you're not aware of what's going on around you, you can't pick up on the red flags that point to you possibly being in a love spell. And this is a way to keep the love spell that they already have on you bonded.
Love spells really work? Yes. Do I recommend for you to do a love spell? No. I know some of y'all have probably seen those spells on social media that look super easy and you just really want to try it when you know for a fact that man is not for you. And this person has already either verbally or physically expressed to you that they're not interested, and you're still choosing to go against their free will. Love spells are typically casted without the other person's knowledge or consent, and you are literally gaining their love with spiritual manipulation. My mom owns a botanica and she has done this for as long as I can remember, so we know a lot of people who do this type of work. I'm going to tell you 2 stories of love spells that have gone wrong. The first story is about a girl that we know that was dating this guy on and off forever, and he kept running back to his ex. Basically, she got scared that he was going to leave her for real, so she decided to do a love spell on him. And things stayed the same. He kept running back to his ex-girlfriend and messing around with her whenever he had time. The only difference was that he became obsessive and possessive with her, to the point that he began stalking and harassing her for like 5 years. Mind you, this was even after they broke up. He would drive by her work and make sure she was there. He was weird. And he ended up going to jail because he physically assaulted her. It's a whole long story. This is just a little bit of it. Story number 2. This girl that I'm talking about was friends with benefits with this guy. And I actually live in a small town, so I also knew this guy. I went to high school with him. Let me describe this guy to you. He was super popular, super talkative. He was the life of the party. All the girls wanted him, right? And this girl, who was his friend with benefit, ended up doing a love spell on him. And yes, they officially started dating. He made her his girlfriend. He eventually proposed to her and they got married. And I'm not even lying when I tell you this. I know these people. He is a complete zombie. And she actually posted their wedding pictures. And while she was over there looking all happy and in love, his eyes looked completely dead. He was literally standing next to her in the picture, looking into blank space. And other people who know this couple say the same thing. They say that his spark is just gone. Moral of the story, do love spells work? Yes. But they will backfire because the feelings involved are not genuine or freely given.
Can I, make him love me? Are you kidding?
Guys, I have a question. Is love magic real thing? Because I'm so confused. This person came to us, me and my friend. My friend is from Nigeria, and we were like minding our business, and we know his friend but not close friend, and he was explaining to us. He said, I want to get away from my ex-fiance, but I cannot. And then I was like, why? And then he explained, he says, even if I get away, I always find my way back to her. No matter how much I hate her, I always find myself back to her. No matter, tell me why you would do love magic to bring somebody who does not want to be with you. Tell me why. I mean, you're a gorgeous woman, you're a handsome guy. Why would you do that to yourself? There's a reason why it's called past relationship, ex, If somebody doesn't want to be with you, just let them go. You can't force a person to be with you. And doing love magic, it's, controlling somebody against their will. And I never knew that exists until my Nigerian friend explained it to me. And he didn't even know that she did love magic on him, because the way he was explaining it, he said, I despise her, I don't want to be with her anymore, but somehow I just can't. And he said that she became aggressive. She would talk to him as if he's a child. And I was like, just leave her. And he was like, I've tried to go several times, but I always find myself back longing for her. And I was like, okay, that's weird. So my friend explained to me, my friend was like, you probably grew and raised in America, so you don't know this, but let me explain it to you. There's people who can do magic, to control you, to be with them. I didn't know about this. I didn't know. Guys, I was 2 years old when I found out that people can do certain things like magic, manifestation, all those things. I didn't know about those things. Anyway, the point is, love yourself before you go into any relationship, because putting magic on somebody is not worth it. Yeah.
Hi guys, it's your favorite Black Witch here, and today I have a story time that this story just lives rent-free in my head because I got told it by my dad, and my dad, I remember growing up, he used to tell us like a lot of like scary stories and stuff like that, especially when it was like during like the Halloween season or when he just wanted us to go to sleep at night. He would always tell us these like really creepy stories, and like I tell this to my friends to this day, and no one ever believes me, but I swear up and down, this is a true story. Okay, so let's get into it. So this was like before I was born. I was born in 98. So this story happened. My dad told me it was around 94. It was when my older brother was born. And at the time, my dad and my mom used to hang around this friend group. And in this friend group, he had a guy friend, and the guy friend was with like, he had a girlfriend, but the girlfriend wasn't in like their friend group. Like, she was just like, his girlfriend. But basically, his friend will always cheat on his girlfriend, like, a lot. They would go out to the club, he would like get girls' numbers, or he would just like not come back home at night, and he would just basically stay out all night. Like, there was even one time my dad and my mom got in an argument because he had stayed the night with us, and my mom was like, no, he needs to go back home. Like, I don't want his girlfriend coming over here causing drama. But he was just basically a cheater, right? So this was back when my mother did not believe in practicing like magic or witchcraft and all that other type of stuff. So the reason why my mother was like, oh, I don't want his girlfriend coming over here is because she practiced witchcraft, and like she was known in like the neighborhood to practice witchcraft, and a lot of people kind of like stayed away from her because of that, and they judged her because of that. And my mom was one of the ones that really didn't want witchcraft around like, her newborn baby. Like the type of like judgmental minds people have. And my mom at the time, before she was like spiritually woken and all these other type of things, she was like, no, I don't want that girl coming over here because I know she'll be practicing witchcraft and all the other type of stuff, right? So eventually, like, my dad told him, like, hey, like, I can't let you stay over my house anymore. Like, if you don't want to be with the girl, just break up with her. Like, there's no need to like cheat on the girl. But my dad's friend was an opportunist. So he wanted to be with this woman because she had a house, she had a car, she had her own, she was very stable when it comes to like, her finances and things like that. So this guy wanted to like basically freeload off of her, so to speak, but he didn't want to commit. He didn't want to be faithful. Right. And he knew that she practiced witchcraft, but she never did it when he was around. So it really didn't bother him. And he didn't really believe in it anyway. He used to always say stuff to my dad like, man, that shit ain't real. I don't believe in witchcraft, or, it's just a bunch of like juju. Like, he used to basically not believe in like this witchcraft. Right. Well, his girlfriend knew that he used to cheat on her. Like, she knew. Like, obviously, he wouldn't come back home. He would stay gone all night. Like, she even had to drive the block one time to go looking for him. And this is back in 94. So this is not like when you could turn on someone's location and see where they are. Like, this is like back in the day. So basically, she was just like, okay, I'm tired of this man cheating on me. So my dad told me this is how it went. My dad told me that one day he went to his friend's house to go looking for him, and he noticed that his friend wasn't home, so his girlfriend answered the door. And when his girlfriend came to the door, she was like, oh, I don't know, I haven't seen him. He's normally with you out cheating. So my dad was like, I know he be out cheating, but that's on him. Like, I don't make him cheat, and I don't cheat on my wife because my mom and dad was married. But he was like, yeah, I don't cheat on my wife, so that has nothing to do with me. But basically, she like cursed my dad out, and she was like, okay, well, tell your friend if he don't stop cheating me, I'm gonna curse his ass. And my dad was like, what the fuck did this bitch just say? But he obviously didn't like say anything back to her. He just walked away because, like I said, she got judged for doing witchcraft, and at the time, like, in that neighborhood, like, no one believed in witchcraft. No one liked witchcraft. Like, it was, looked at as very evil, very sinister, all that stuff, right? So my dad goes home and he tells my mom what happened. And my mom is like, yeah, that bitch is definitely not coming over here. Like, I knew she was into that witchcraft stuff. Like, I told you, blah, blah, blah. So it's the whole thing, right? So basically one night and this is what my dad's friend told him how it happened. One night he gets home and like, it was a pretty good night. So like, there wasn't arguing. There wasn't like, bickering or anything. It was just a pretty smooth night. and his girlfriend had made him some food, right? And the food that she had made for him was some spaghetti. And so he's eating this spaghetti, and like he said, this is one of the best spaghetti he's ever ate in his entire life. Like, this spaghetti is good, it's flavorful, you know, it's juicy, it's all that, right? So he finishes his plate and they go to bed, right? So over the next like couple of days, my dad noticed that like his friend stopped getting in contact with him, and his friend also stopped coming over. And my dad was kind of getting worried because even though she said, I'm going to put a curse on him, my dad didn't believe that she would actually do it. So he's just like, okay, maybe he's just, you know, tired, or maybe he's like working or whatever. But long story short, like him and my dad really didn't talk as much after he had went home that night, and things was like good between them. So basically a couple weeks starts like to pass, and my dad's like, okay, I'm kind of getting worried about him. Now, what's going on over at his friend's house is his girlfriend is starting to notice that he's staying home a lot more. So this is a guy that used to go out and party. This is someone that, you know, used to cheat and just basically not care about her feelings and just, you know, dog her out basically and use her. But she noticed that he started to stay home a lot more. Not only did he start to stay home a lot more, he started saying things to her like, I'm going to be here for you. Like, you know, I'm going to like get a better job in the future. Like, we're going to, you know, fix your home up. Like all this different type of stuff that he was just like saying to her that he never said before. And so she was like, oh my God, like, did my spell work? This is what she's thinking. So he starts staying home more, you know, he starts cooking for her. The sex is getting better and everything is just starting to progress and like come together, right? So she's very happy because she's like, oh my God, like my spell actually worked. Well, my dad seen him out at a grocery store one day, and he was like, yo, I haven't seen you in so long. Like, what's up with you? Like, you good? And he was like, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm just trying to do right by, you know, so-and-so. Like, I'm trying to be a better man for her. Like, you know, she deserves it. She doesn't deserve to get played no more like I was playing her. My dad was like, oh, okay, like, that's good. I'm proud. I'm proud of you. Like, good luck. You know, like, you know, basically just chopped it up with him real short, and it was just like a little, you know, hey, how you doing? Type situation. Well, over the next like couple of months, like their relationship was just going great. Like it was going great until this one night. Basically, his girlfriend wanted to go out with her girlfriends, and like she wanted to go out on clubs. She wanted to go out on parties. She never really partied or nothing like that. She mainly went to work and like came home. But she went to him and she was like, hey, I really want to go out and I want to go party. And I want to go out with my girlfriends. And he like did not like this at all. Like she could tell his whole demeanor like literally like changed. Like he went from being loving and like, you know, this guy that just did a complete 360, and she's happy because her spell is working. But he goes, oh, is it going to be guys out there, or is it going to be niggas out there that you're going to go hang out with? Or I don't know if I'm supposed to say that word on here, but is it going to be guys that you're supposed to go hang out with or whatever? And she's like, just literally going out with my girlfriends. Like, what's the big issue? Well, eventually she ends up going out, but she can tell like the energy was going to be kind of off when she got back home. And it was. When she got back home, he barely didn't want to talk to her. He barely didn't want to touch her. Like he was just acting like he didn't really like her like that anymore. And then it was just been like a couple of incidents that happened between them where he was acting a little bit like kind of controlling and a little bit obsessive in a way. So she's starting to notice that, maybe my spell is working a little bit too much and this guy is actually starting to creep me out. So over the next couple of months, basically their relationship, it went from being so bad, and then when she did the spell, it got so good, to getting bad again. But she never thought that the relationship would get bad like this. They started arguing a lot more, and these arguments were about her wanting to go out and do things for herself. Like she wanted to, you know, go out with her friends. She wanted to go see her mom on the weekends. Like she wanted to go hang out with her family, and he did not want this girl to leave his sight. Every time she tried to go somewhere, it was always, is it going to be men there? Is it going to be guys there? Or you're just probably trying to go out to go see these ninjas, or you're probably trying to go out and what are you wearing? Like, can you change your clothes? And he became, not only did he become obsessed with her, which is what she wanted, but he became controlling and very aggressive with his language. Like he wanted to control her. Guys, I don't have enough time, but like for part 2, because This story is crazy. All right, so part 2 of the story my dad told me. So basically, like I mentioned in part 1, he was getting very aggressive with his words. He was getting very controlling, and it had even came to an incident one night that he tried to stop her from leaving, and he was just like, no, you're my woman, you wanted me to commit to you. Now I finally want to commit, and you want to go out here and party. But it wasn't even the healthy type of way. Well, controlling is not healthy at all, but this man was very much giving obsessed. And at that point, one day when he went to work, she started to worry that her spell kind of backfired. So I know you guys might be thinking, what was the spell like? What did she do? That night when he came in and she sat him down and everything was all good, and she gave him a plate of spaghetti, it had some of her period blood in it. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but this is actually true. I did hear some women actually do this. It was a love spell that she did, and she actually put her period blood in it. It maybe was just a couple drops, or I don't know, but I know it was infused in the spaghetti sauce, and it was a love spell she did. So she did a love spell against his will. He didn't know this was happening, and she did the spell, and the spell ended up backfiring on her. Not only did he become obsessed with her, but he became very controlling, aggressive, and it was just giving very toxic, manipulative. He just wanted to control her. He wanted her all to himself, but not in a healthy way, in a very, very unhealthy way. That's when she realized that shit, I should have not done this. So she felt like she was being trapped. She didn't have she couldn't basically get air to breathe. She could not leave this man without it being an argument, without him thinking that she was going to go out and cheat on him. All the times he cheated on her, but she was going to go out and cheat on him or leave him for some guy or whatever. So she had to consult a witch doctor, because she said that this is getting so out of control that she can't even have freedom anymore. So she eventually ended up consulting a witch doctor, and the witch doctor had to help her reverse the spell or the curse or whatever you want to call it. But it wasn't as easy as to go to a witch doctor to get it reversed. See, to do that, he had to come with her. So because he had to come with her, that meant that she had to tell him, hey, I put a spell on you, and I think it's made our relationship worse, and I didn't mean for this to happen. I only wanted to make our relationship better. So basically one night when they're kind of on good terms, there's no arguing, there's no bickering, she breaks it down to him that, hey, I did put a spell on you. And he's like, well, why the did you? And he basically just goes off. He say, why did you use this witchcraft juju mess on me? I told you when I first met you, I don't believe in this. I don't play with this. And I was, and you use it against my will. Why would you put a spell on me, basically? She basically apologized, saying she's so sorry and she's never going to do it again, but they need to go see some lady. So basically the whole thing could be reversed. So basically, I really don't know the ends of the story. All my dad told me was that it got so bad between them that they never went to go see the witch doctor, because for number one, he was very upset at her that she did the spell. Not only was he very upset at her, but he was still very controlling and obsessive. So he refused to go to the witch doctor for some reason. He didn't want to go to the witch doctor, and it just ended up with him being in jail. She had to get a restraining order against him because he tried to become abusive towards her. The relationship just ended very bad, and I really don't know the end of the story, but moral of this story is y'all need to stop doing love spells without these men consent. I don't know if you guys know, but witchcraft is very real and it's very powerful. So if you go to as far as using blood magic by literally making someone eat your blood, and you already did a spell on them without them not even knowing, that just goes to show you that that can backfire, because it's against their will and you probably didn't even really do it right to begin with. But I see a lot of love spells here on TikTok, and I'm just I would never do a love spell on a man against their will. If he's all in for it and you guys want to make your relationship stronger, maybe you want to make communication better and y'all do it together, that's something different because y'all in it together. But when you're doing it behind his back, then that's against someone's will, and that can backfire if you don't do it correctly, which is exactly what happened in this case I just explained. But Anyways, guys, that is all for this story. My dad always tells me like scary stories and stuff at night, so let me know if you guys want more. I do have a couple more that he told me. My dad used to scare the out of me when I was a kid. Like, he used to scare the mess out of me and my brother. And ever since he told me that story, I always remember, because that was one of the first stories that I got told about witchcraft. So every time I looked on TV and I seen like movies about witchcraft or shows about witchcraft, I always was just like so scared of it until I got older and did the research myself. And now I am a witch. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to share that story with you. So thank you. Oh, I wanted to add that once he got out, and like he had the restraining order against him and stuff, him and my dad had started hanging out a little bit more, but it wasn't like it was before. But when he was hanging out with my dad basically asked him like, what happened between you guys. Then he basically told my dad that, he said, this BICTH, she put a spell. Well, she put a curse on me. She cursed me. She did some type of like wicked love spell on me. And I don't know, but it just changed me. Like ever since like a couple months ago, I just been acting different. I've been acting crazy, but I really do love her. My dad was kind of froze. He really didn't know what to say, but I don't remember if he ever told his friend that she basically said that she was gonna curse you, and I just never told you. But basically, my dad's friend ended up telling him like how their relationship just went downhill, which is why I'm able to tell the story. But okay, that's it. Bye.
Hi there, Fat Girl Freestyle here. Happy Friday to you. I hope this video finds you well. Here with another cautionary tale, but a very personal cautionary tale. I kind of went back and forth with myself, trying to decide if this would be something I would share. And I said, go ahead, why not? I share these experiences not to frighten you or creep you out or anything like that, but because I want people to be aware. The spiritual world, as many of us know, is a very real space. It's not just a matter of belief, but there are things that people do, things that people can do, things that people are capable of, that sometimes we don't believe, but it is absolutely true. And for those of us who have experienced these things, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt, there's more between heaven and earth than meets the eye. So again, this is a very personal experience of mine that I kind of debated on whether or not I was going to share. And this is why I tell y'all, my life has been filled with strange encounters, unexplainable experiences, so many things. So none of this stuff I find odd or unusual. That's why I don't judge anyone for any experience or encounter that they say they have had, because I know many of the things I've experienced and I've shared, people have dismissed them as completely unbelievable. But as long as you know your experience, as long as you know what that encounter was, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. We're not here for validation or approval. We're here to simply share and make other people aware of the things that are possible. Now, this experience happened to me when I was a younger woman. I was, of course, a mom. I had my 2 sons, and I was dating. I met a guy, I'll call him Sean, and he was from Shreveport, Louisiana. And that's why I say Shreveport, there's a lot of spiritual energy that runs through there as well. It's not just New Orleans, a lot of places in Louisiana. But I think Shreveport is the one place that I've been to that has that same feeling that New Orleans has. Except, in my opinion, the energy in Shreveport is much creepier. New Orleans, at least, you get that good vibe, that good energy. But Shreveport, I didn't get any good vibes there. But again, that's just me. Some people come to New Orleans and say the same thing. But anyway, Sean was from Shreveport, and we would visit each other back and forth. He was charming, of course, physically attractive, had a smile and eyes that really mesmerized me. I used to wear my hair long, almost to my shoulders when I was younger. And Sean used to love my hair. And every time I would say I'm going to cut it, because it was just so hard to manage with washing and combing and taking care of it, he used to always tell me, I'll do it for you. I don't mind. I used to do my mom's hair. Let me do that for you. Let me show you some care, some attention, is what he used to say. So one day, we were spending the weekend together, and I decided I would let him wash my hair, condition it for me, comb it through. And he did. And it was a good experience to not have to deal with my own head for a change. And I thought it was sweet, very romantic, a nice gesture to be of service to your partner. I let him do it a second time, and I felt a little weird afterwards, almost like something had settled on me. But me not thinking or being aware, I didn't think it would have anything to do with him washing my hair and combing it and helping me put it into a protective style. So I continued seeing him, of course, and when we would spend weekends together, he would ask, does your hair need to be washed, conditioned? And I'd become accustomed to this because it was relaxing. It felt good. And again, I didn't have to do it myself. And telling my friends, oh, girl, he loves to help me wash my hair and he'll condition it for me and he'll comb it through. And oh, it's just so wonderful. Right? But I started getting to a point where I was becoming obsessed with him, always wanting to talk to him, always wanting to see him, always wanting to know where he was going, who he was with. Almost like I was going crazy over him, you know? And I'm having a conversation with one of my friends, and she stops me and she says, Kim, you don't hear yourself. She says, you don't realize how much of your conversation is about Sean. She said, it's like you're obsessed with him. You're really obsessed. And she's like, I notice it more and more. Like, what's going on? And I'm telling her, I'm like, nah, it doesn't seem strange. I really like him. I really care about him. We have a great time together. So I just kind of blew her off. I'm like, she's just jealous because she doesn't have anybody. But the more time I spent with him, the more I allowed him to wash and treat my hair, it got more intense. That obsession, it got to a point where I wasn't spending as much time with my kids because I wanted to be with him all the time. And again, it was odd behavior for me. And people noticed this. So he ended up going back to Shreveport for, I can't remember, maybe family thing. I'm not sure. It's been a long time. But I remember he went back and he was gone for about a month and a half, 2 months. And I noticed that the longer he was gone, the less and less and less I thought about him, the less I wanted to talk to him, the less I was obsessed with him. So I noticed this myself. I'm like, that's odd. Because, this is essentially my boyfriend at this time. So another conversation with that same friend who had noticed before that obsession. And she said, I guarantee you he's doing something. She said, I'm telling you, Kim. She said, this is Louisiana. She said, all kinds of people, man or woman, young or old, all kinds of people know how to do things. It's almost like it's in our DNA. And I said, you think so? I said, I don't know. I said, it's been a few months since we've been together. I said, maybe that newness is just wearing off. And she was like, nah. She said, you didn't hear yourself in the way you talked about him. She's like, I'm telling you, it's like you were obsessed. It was crazy. So I decided to ask someone who was very knowledgeable in spiritual practices. And she explained to me that washing and combing and treating someone's hair is a way for you to deposit things with them in their head, in their mind, which your head, your crown, is a very precious, very sensitive space. That's why you shouldn't just let people touch your hair all willy-nilly. That's why you shouldn't just go to this random person, that random person to do your hair. Because it is a place where people can deposit things. Not only that, she told me that the hair that he combed from my head, he could keep and do work on me with that as well. Blew my mind. Because again, at the time, I was young. I didn't know. I didn't realize. I wasn't well versed or even comfortable in spiritual practice. So I said, well, let me see something. So when he came back and we reconnected, he wanted to, of course, wash my hair and comb it and everything. And I told him no. And he accepted it that first time. It was no problem. See, the second time he asked and I told him no, he got very upset. Very upset. So at this point, I'm paying attention and I'm like, why would he be upset about something like that? And then I thought, there's something to what I've been told. And again, I wasn't talking about him all the time. I didn't feel that need, that desire, that pull to be with him all the time. So that confirmed it for me even more. So I slowly just began to pull myself away from him. And after a few times of rejecting him from touching my hair, eventually it was easy to just stop talking to him altogether. That's my part of the story. So maybe, I'm going to say 6 or 7 years later, a story comes out of a guy in Shreveport who was killed by his girlfriend. It was Sean. She stabbed him to death 42 times. And with people talking and everything, rumors, people said how he used to wash and comb her hair all the time. And then eventually, people started talking about the practices that he used to have and how he would do work on people he deemed his enemies. This is how he kept women in his life. He would deposit those energies and intentions and thoughts and do spiritual work with their hair. That's how he kept the women obsessed with him. And one of the obsessions went way too far, and it cost him his life. Now, again, these were the rumors. This was the talk of the town, talk on the streets. So, is it true? I never saw any physical evidence. I never saw anyone present any physical evidence. I only heard what people said. But I know what my experience was. I know how I felt. So I wholeheartedly believe it. But this is what happens when you do work on people. It can backfire. And when it does, in the worst way possible, it can backfire. So whatever your spiritual practice is, whatever you believe in, just know that it is something to be taken very seriously. It's something that needs to be guarded and protected. And that's my belief. I don't judge anyone for how they do things. But it's why I don't share a lot of my own spiritual practice, because people can use it against you. And that's why I limit who I talk to, whether in person or on the phone, because even words, the way people speak, how they speak, the things that they say can put spells on you. And some people do it knowingly, and that is their intention, to go out into the world and do these things. And some people have that power and they don't even know that they have it. So this is why you have to be spiritually protected at all times. This is why you have to guard your space. This is why you can't let everyone touch your hair and play in your head. as the grandmothers like to say. So be mindful and be aware, especially in these times that we live in. Things are just kind of melding together, and there's almost no way to discern one from the other. But that's why you have to make sure you are doing what needs to be done. This is why you have to make sure that you are protected, whether that be with crystals or prayer, protection beads, whatever your belief is, you have to have something. You need that barrier between you and others, because not everybody's intentions for you are good. So pay attention. Protect your space. Always protect your crown. And believe that good and evil is very real. Thank you for watching. And as always, I love you, Cher.
Okay, you got it. So I had this one client come to me one time, and she had just come off of She had just come off of a breakup, and she was really hurting, and she felt like there was something in her house. And she described to me that she was seeing shadows in the home, and that she was having things misplaced. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And she's like, yeah. So then she told me that she was going to get into spell work, and that she wanted to cast a love spell on a guy. And I'm sorry, I should not laugh, but this is very codependent, everybody. Love spells are. And she did. And she casted a love spell on him. But in her home, she started getting like knocks at night. Like she'd hear knocks at night at her window, and there'd be nobody there. She'd be laying in bed at night and the doorbell would ring. Be nobody there. She'd be sitting on the couch and her hair, like she'd wear a ponytail and like someone would pull it back. There's nobody there. She lived by herself. And so she says to me, I don't think I need help just yet. I said, okay. She goes, but I'll let you know if I do. I said, okay. And she came back about 2 weeks later in hysterics and said, the man that I casted the love spell on tried to grape me, and he tried to unalive me. And I said, why? I was like, oh my God. She's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, you call the cops. And she's like, oh, yeah, they placed him on bail and everything. And so she describes to me that when she did the love spell, she heard a certain name in her head. And she started to hear this voice talking to her. And she said his name, she said the name was Adium or something like that. I don't remember. And she literally said that she heard that name. And so she thought it was one of her spirit guides. She thought she gained a new spirit guide. And I was listening to this. I said, okay. She goes, but this has been nothing but a problem. I'll be sitting and like my TV will just go on and off. And like, I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. She's like, but I was sitting alone and I heard banging in my kitchen. And I went to my kitchen and a knife flew at me. This is very common with paranormal activity, paranormal emergencies. They throw knives. They throw knives and weapons. And I was like, oh, that's not good. She's like, yeah, I'm very, very scared. I said, yeah, I can understand why. She goes, well, the other day I was out and I was at my job. I had a guy come up to me and he said, I love the scent of your perfume. And I was like, oh, I was flattered. And I talked to this guy for a very, very long time, and she told me that his name was Adam. And I was like, the same name that's in your head? She's like, no, that's Adim. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, she's talking and she's saying that she's a really nice long conversation, and how he was very flirtatious and said there's so many different things that he'd love to do to her. And she was like, I got flirtatious back with him. And when my friend came in, she kind of like tapped my shoulder, and I blinked and I lost like an hour. And I said, what? And she's like, yeah. So my friend said that I had just been standing there for like an hour and that I wasn't talking to anybody. And I was like, okay. And then she said that she went into the bathroom afterwards, and when she was washing her face off, she like literally like after she's the bathroom, she's washing her face off because she was freaked out because she had lost that hour, and she's gonna go make an appointment with her doctor because she was scared, because she had lost that hour. And she saw a dark, menacing figure behind her shoulder, and she's like, I'm really, really scared. I'm like, okay. She's like, so then I went to see my sister, and my sister said, I have this new guy that you should meet. And I was like, so you're actively trying to date? She's like, yeah. She goes, but guess what his name was? I was like, what? She's like, Adam. I was like, oh my God. And she's like, yeah. And I asked her what he looked like, and she was like, oh, he looks like, and she like described like what that guy looked like when she had just been staring at the wall. And she's like, I don't know what I did wrong in my love spell, but I have a feeling I did something very, very wrong. And I was like, oh my God. And so she's like, oh, it gets worse. I'm like, I'm listening. She's like, I came home. Now, guys, I'm really, really sorry. Trigger warning, disturbing content. She said that she came home and she felt something grape her. She couldn't get up. She couldn't move. She was held down, and something was graping her. As is common with paranormal activity, sometimes you will get incubuses that will grape. Okay. And so she was graped, and she was very, very scared. And so she contacted me, and when I looked into it, I was like, what was the guy's name that you were trying to put a love spell on? She was like, I think it was like Joey or something. And she was like, I was like, right, interesting. And she's like, why? And I was like, because I just keep hearing the same name, obviously, Adam. And she's like, oh, well, come to find out that Joey had a long distance brother named Adam that had died. He had died. Like, he died, I don't remember, I think it was it was a motorcycle accident. He had a brother that died in a motorcycle accident, and he was not a good guy. He was in like gangs and stuff, and he was like, and so when she put the love spell on that guy, she didn't realize what she was doing, and she casted it for like to attract like that bloodline to her, basically. And that vengeful wraith came and just tried to destroy her life and grape her and abuse her for a very, very long time. She said she lived with it for like 3 to 4 weeks, but she said that she had been having activity for a while, and then she came to me and I crossed that F-er over, and then she was fine. But that was very scary because nobody wants to be graped, and nobody wants to be haunted like that, and nobody wants to be abused. And she was losing time, and she had all sorts of these issues like happen to her. And I caution this with saying, like, if you're into love spells, make sure you know what you're doing, because they can call the spirits from that bloodline. Have a good one.
My spiritual girlies, let's talk about being marked by a man, especially a man who knows what he's doing in the spiritual realm. Oh my God. So what does it mean to be marked, right? So say a guy is wearing clothes, right? And he
The clothes he's wearing, he takes it off his body and he's like, here, take it. Keep it. Especially if y'all just got done having intercourse. He had intercourse. Y'all had intercourse. He was wearing them pieces of clothing and he gives it to you. Oh, yeah, congratulations, you're marks. That man has marked his territory. That man's energy is going to be all around you, even if you don't want it to be. Or, a lot of men do this if they're already in a relationship, but they want to be with you. They'll make sure you wait for them. He's marking his territory. Like, I'm with her right now, but I didn't mark my territory with you. He didn't lay his foundation down, and now he's about to grow, and so expect that man to be coming towards you soon. If you want to be marked, keep it. If you don't want to be marked, burn it, throw it away. Okay?
Okay, so I had a couple people ask me what are some ways that a person can put witchcraft on you through a love spell. So let me tell you. If a person wanted to put roots on you, what they call it, roots, voodoo, whatever, witchcraft, if they want to put that on you to keep you in their life, male or female, one of the main things they need is a piece of your undergarments. Like, they can use your underwear, your boxers, bras, anything that's close to your skin that you wear underneath your clothes, they can use that. So that's why it's important to never leave your underwear at nobody's house. Okay? Number 2, your pictures. I emphasize on that because pictures, they can use that, whatever. Okay? They can do all kind of stuff with your pictures, baby. They can print them out. It don't matter if they're online, they can print them out. They can speak word curses over them. They can write it down. They can write stuff on your pictures. Crazy stuff, I'm telling you. You'll be surprised. Number 3, if a woman trying to keep a man, she can let him have sex with her period on. This period sex does cause like a spiritual type, a soul tie. So that's a form of witchcraft, period sex. Okay, another thing too, if a woman wanted a man to be in her life, she could use some of his, I don't want to say the word, but his semen, you know what I'm saying? Like, she could use some of that. You know, let's say for instance, y'all having sex and you nut inside of her. She can go to the bathroom real quick, get some tissue, wipe out with your semen on her, and go from there with it. Y'all, it's so many different ways. They can put food on period. I've heard of women putting period in a man food, anything with red sauce. That's why I felt that if you dating somebody and y'all just dating like it ain't serious, don't be eating and everything from their asses, because at the end of the day, they can put period in your food and you won't even know it. But I'm gonna make another video soon about it. But those are some ways that people can put love spells on you.
Condoms, panties, pictures, love letters. What the hell did you do with all this stuff? Check that shoebox. And I bet you ain't even gonna be no shoes in the motherfucker.
So my makeup, period. Let's get into it. You know, you guys have to be very careful with the men you guys mess with. I'm just saying, some of these men will do a love spell on you as punishment. They will be mad that you rejected them, and then in turn they will do a love spell on you because they feel like they are entitled to have you. And these men will turn around and call you crazy and do all types of stuff because there's no way to prove it. There's no way to really prove it. There's 2 different laws. There's physical law on earth, and then there's spiritual law, universal law. And the way that these men pay for their wrongdoings in the spiritual world is by suffering. Their life is always down bad. Always down bad. So there was this one time that this guy literally tried to do a love spell on me, and he didn't think that I knew, but I played dumb. I just wanted to see how far he would take it. I was like, I do not like this man. Why am I like low-key, why do I keep thinking about this weird ass man? And something came on to me and I was like, You know what, girl? Pray about it. Ask God about it. Hold on, there's like a little blemish right there. Ask God about it. Pray about it. And I did. And God revealed it. I'm not gonna say how, because this person has been attacking me by the way I get my revelations. So I'm not even gonna go into it. Like, literally, I have to be very careful what I post on here, because this person is literally watching my stuff and using what I do for myself and my self-protection to do what they do and work against me. So be mindful. That's another thing. Be mindful of what type of content that you guys post. Like, I really want to help you girls. Anybody, I want to help you guys and tell you like how to protect yourself and how to do all types of stuff. But the thing is that people will see this and they will use it against you. So be mindful of what you post on your stuff. And that's why I try to keep it light and just talk about manifestation. But they've been targeting that too. So with that being said, where was I? Hold on, let me gather my thoughts. Oh yeah, so it was revealed to me and I turned it back around on this person. Now this person is running around saying that I did something on them, that I did this and I did that. All I did was give back what you sent to me. You're the one that's now obsessed with me. You're a weirdo. Okay? And when I say I'm lucky, I'm freaking lucky, man, because what they sent was strong. It was, I was like, well, damn. And then they noticed it wasn't working on me, so they tried to do spells. And let me tell you something, when you trigger a man's ego, you need to be very careful, because they'll sit here and they'll be like, oh well, they deserved it because of this, da, da, da. It's like that show, what is it, Scooby-Doo? Damn meddling kids. If it weren't for those meddling kids, I would have gotten away with it. Those Scooby snacks. But yeah, they'll turn around and say that you're doing all this stuff on them when it was actually them that sent it to you, and all you did was return the favor, sent it right back to them. That's why you guys have to have discernment. You have to have discernment, and do not be fooled of these people that claim to be in the church and to do whatever. Do not be fooled. A lot of them are practicing all types of stuff, and they work with demons and satanic whatever. Okay, y'all be safe. So after all that, this person tried to tap in to my energy again after the spiritual realm gave them bow bow. They would not let up, and they still won't let up right now. They down bad right now, but they still won't let up because it's like, it's their ego. They won't let it go. When I literally did nothing to them, I just rejected them. Like, that's why I tell you guys, spirituality is spirituality. As long as it's not like worshiping an entity that is, their whole thing is evil. It's to do bad unto others. Any satanic things, anything in regards to conjuring demons. These people be summoning demons. Yeah. And just because somebody is spiritual doesn't mean that they're satanic. They may just work with earth, and that is all. So it's best you get well versed in those things, because it will help you combat anything anybody throws on you. And I was very lucky because what was said was for me to be down bad. But I'm highly ranked. That didn't touch me. I may have acted like I was down bad, but realistically, it didn't touch me at all. It's because I am very gifted. So with all that being said, I would love to create a community to teach you guys, a private community where I can, like, I don't know, have some type of gatekeeping of who sees my content, because literally there's people trying to work against me because they don't like what I'm doing and awakening the masses, you know? So it's just interesting how people are. And it's always the ones that look like they snuck on Earth that do these things. Because they hate the rejection. So let me know if you have any questions. Other than that, I'm just gonna finish my makeup. I just wanted to put out this PCA. And yeah, it's my favorite part now. I use 2 setting sprays. I'm extra. I use 2 setting sprays. But because I need to make it dry really fast, I'm gonna use this new fan that I've been seeing all over TikTok. Make it dry really fast. Now we're gonna go in with to set it officially. Let's do it again. No filter, but with makeup. Filter with makeup. Period. Okay, so I'm gonna do my makeup. Period. Let's get into it.
So, okay guys, story time. Voodoo love spell gone wrong. So this is going to be a story about my cousin. This is based on a true story. I'm not going to tell you guys real names. And this happened, I want to say, I feel like I was in elementary school or early middle school. So this is going to be like the early 2000s. Okay? So I had a cousin. She was in love with this man. She worshipped the ground this man walked on. He was perfection. He was everything to her. And she wanted him, and she wanted him to only want her. So, as you guys know, when it comes to love spells and spiritual love stories, you already know that usually when the woman wants the man real bad, he don't want her, right? And the goal is to trap this man or do something spiritually to keep him only having eyes for you. So he used to dog my cousin out. He had other women. He had other baby mamas. Now, mind you, my cousin, she had a kid, but I don't think her oldest kid was his. Her second kid ended up being his, but not the first. And she wanted a baby with him bad. Like, she wanted one with him bad. She already had kids. He already had his own kids with other people. And no matter what she did, she could not get pregnant by him. And she decided she was going to go visit the lady. So she goes to the lady and she basically tells the lady, hey, I want this man, but I know that he don't really want me. I feel like we kind of in this like relationship out of convenience. Like, I claim him, he lived with me, we together, but I feel like he's not telling people that we're together because he's still doing him. He's still entertaining other women, and he's actually getting these other women pregnant. Now, this was back in the day, so we really, abortions were around back then, but you never really hear about people having an abortion. It was always somebody had a miscarriage, right? And so some of these women did not carry to term, and some of these women did. And over the course of their relationship, I think when they first got together, he had 2, she had 1. But by the time she went to the lady, Sir had about 6 kids, right? And none of them was with her, and it was all during the course of their relationship. So she goes to the lady. The lady's like, okay, we're going to make him only be about you. We're going to make him obsessed with you, only want you, only desire you. And we're also going to make it so that you can get pregnant, right? She pays the lady, and the lady does what she does, right? So after a little while, gradually he started to get real clingy. The other women, they started going away, and it was really only about her and about their family that they were working on building. This man was even ghosting his kids. Like, he was solely focused on her. They ended up getting pregnant. they had another baby, or they had a baby. I mean, he was treating her daughter like it was his. So they end up having a baby of their own, and everything seemed to be going well, except with all rituals or spells that you do, sometimes there's hiccups. So he starts making her the center of his life, her and her kids. He decided that he does not want to live apart from her. He does not want to go a second or day without her. So he quits his job, and he becomes kind of like a stay-at-home parent. And he started to make it hard for her to go to work. He's like, girl, I done quit my job so we could be together all day, every day. Like, I don't care how we live. I don't care how we survive. I just want us together 24/7. And she's like, I got these kids that I'm responsible for. I just can't quit my job. Then it became a power struggle. Then it became, I need to control her, and I'm going to control her by any means. He's like harassing her at work. He's calling her job, making it seem like it's an emergency for her to come home. And her employer eventually ended up letting her go, and she decided to become a part of the system. So she applied for government assistant. She got her government assistant, and her kids and him moved into their little apartment or whatever, and they tried to thug it out and make it work. But there were financial issues because neither one of them was really working. He was doing side hustles. She was doing side hustles, but neither one of them was really bringing in income that was meant to sustain them. So she ended up going back to work. And he's like, oh, you going to work? Not without me. So he started going with her to work, and he would like hang around in the lobby. He'll wait around in the car, but he will physically be on location every day, like all day, every day while she was at work. He was constantly there. And she started to feel like, claustrophobic. She started to feel like she couldn't breathe. She couldn't function. She couldn't go nowhere, right? And she was like becoming really worried and concerned. So she sat down with the elders, and she basically is explaining to them, like, I went to this root worker. She did this work. And although, it did exactly what I wanted to do as far as him being all about me, but now he's like my shadow. And I remember when he used to come to the house, and like she sit down on the couch, and he would literally sit down on the couch. Like they would be thigh to thigh. Like she couldn't go nowhere. If she went to the bathroom, he would find a reason to walk down that hallway just to be by the door when she came out. When they would get in the car with each other, it's like he would open the door to let her get in the car or whatever, and then he would get in the car. And when he would get in the car, like they had to hold hands or they had to touch. Like there was he found reasons just to be really physical with her at all times. If we was outside at a cookout or a family function, he was standing behind her with the hands around the waist, the broke boyfriend pose. Like literally, he would not let her out of his sight for anything. And so if you guys are familiar with controlling, manipulative relationships, you know that first they try to control what it is that you do, then they isolate you. And usually when they isolate you, that's when their dark side comes out. So then she's just stopped coming around. And she talked about being in this depressive state because she really felt like she wasn't living her life. And her life was, her life circled around him and her kids. And she just really felt like she couldn't get a break, right? And so he started to be physically violent towards her. Like if she didn't want to do something that he didn't want to do, or if she found a way to come visit or do something with the family, or if she took too long to clock out and be in the car by the time she got off work, it was an issue. So he physically started to put his hands on her. So when he put his hands on her a few times, of course, the men, they go over there, they try to check him, they try to correct him, let him know, hey, we ain't gonna do all of this. He didn't care. Like, it was like one ear out the other. It was like, I need her. She has to listen to me. She has to do what I want her to do. There is no space, right? And it's like the longer she stayed, or the more she tried to fight back for some freedom, the angrier he got, and the more physically violent he got. So he decided that he was going to go visit the lady. He has heard her talked about the lady. He has taken her to see the lady. So he's like, I'm going to the lady. She's not listening to me. She's not all about me. She's switching up. She's changing. I'm going to the lady. Now, not all practitioners are going to expose other clients. I'm one of those people. I'm not going to expose. I'll tell you whatever comes up that you need to know, but I'm not going to tell you somebody else's business. And that's how it's supposed to be. So when he went to the root worker, he's telling the root worker, he's like, hey, I got this girl, I used to bring my girl over here to see you. And I know what you do work, because I've seen it, firsthand, when you done work for me, when you've done work for her. And I really want her to be back in love with me in the way she was before. Before she wanted me so bad, and I really dogged her out, and I cheated, and I did X, Y, and Z. And, I want her to love me like how she did before. It seemed like the minute I started acting right, it was good for a while. But now it's like she could care less about me. So can you fix this? Can you do work to make her love me again? And she's like, okay, cool. She's like, who's your girlfriend? And he tells her. And she's like, oh, okay. She was like, yeah, we could definitely do it. What is your expectations? Like, what do you want to get out of this other than, her being all about you? And he was like, I want to like get back to myself. I haven't really been feeling like myself over the years. She's constantly on my brain, my mind, or whatever. I want her to love me, and I still want to be with her, but I feel like I'm obsessed. I feel like, it's something that keeps her on my mind 24/7. I know that's not healthy. And I have, been physically violent with her because of this obsession, because of this thing that's kind of like hovering over me. I want that gone. I want us back to a peaceful place. Like, I just, I wanted things to go back to how they were before we had our child. I just want us to be good. I'm not trying to cheat on her, go back to none of that, but I want us to be happy again. So she said, okay, cool. She said, so what we're going to do, we're going to do a nice little cleanse on you. I'm going to give you some things that I want you to do. And I want you to go to these woods. I want you to discard of it in the woods. And then, once all that's done, I want you to come back to me. Then we're going to do a few more things. Then when that's done, I want you to give this to her. I want you to make sure that she takes it. And then you guys should be good. Now, some root workers, they don't devil too much with candle magic. I know we're in an era where you see a lot of people do candle magic. Some root workers, they deal with their hands. There are things that they create, things that they put together. So not all, magic requires burning a candle. So he did all of that, and he goes on about his business. So then my cousin, after a while, she starts to become obsessed with him, to the point where everything that he was doing, she started to do. Like, she started checking his phone, making sure he wasn't cheating. If he went somewhere, she was calling him, checking, making sure he went where he said he was going to go. And I think back in the day, we had pagers. So I remember her, paging him. We didn't have cell phones like that. We had pagers. And so he would page her, she would page him just to see where he was at, see what he had going on. And it became an issue where the family was like, girl, you become a little too obsessive with him. Like, you used to complain about him doing all this stuff to you. Now you're doing all this stuff to him. Like, you need to slow down. And she was like, no, I don't know what happened. I just woke up and I looked at him and I was like, this is my man. This is what I want to be with. I'm going to make it work. And I don't know. I just, I love him. And one of my other cousins was like, girl, you better go back to that lady, make sure that stuff didn't backfire, because the way you acting about him, something ain't right. And she like, girl, you tripping. So her mom ended up taking her to go see the lady. She's like, no, we're going to go see that lady. Something ain't right, girl. Something is off. So she goes see the lady. The lady's like, what's going on? She's like, I'm feeling like, I'm becoming obsessed with him. Something's not right. I don't feel like myself. I'm calling out, missing days of work to spend time with him. And before, he used to want me to do this, but now he's like, he done went and got him a job. He's hanging out with his friends. He's doing this, he's doing that. It's like he doesn't really have time for me. And I feel like what you did is no longer working. And she goes, well, I'm going to be honest with you. He came and saw me. He felt like the love was leaving out of the relationship. And, he paid me. So I told him I would fix the relationship. I would help you to find love in him again. And she's like, you did work on me? And she was like, yeah, I did. She was like, but the work that I did on you really is to make you fall in love with him again. It's nothing harmful. You should not be obsessed or anything like that. It's not that type of work. And so she's like, well, why do I feel the way I feel? Like, take it off. And she's like, in order for me to take it off, he has to ask for me to take it off. What I put on you is what I put on you, and only he can break it. And she was like, well, why is he acting the way he's acting? And she was like, I gave him some instructions. I told him where to go, told him what to do. And she was like, it really depends on what he said out there in the woods. Like, I can't tell you what he said. And she was like, well, what were the instructions that you gave him? So the instructions that she gave him was he was going to go out to the woods. He was going to discard of this jar. And he was supposed to speak his intentions over himself while he was discarding this jar. And he basically said, as he was discarding of it, he said, anything that was sent my way or placed on me to bring me down or to stop me from being happy, I release it. Whatever has me obsessed over her, may that be returned to that person 100-fold. And then he asked for forgiveness for being physically violent with her. And he just basically asked if there was anything on him removed. I'm not saying the verbatim. I'm just saying, the key words that I remember that were said around the table. And so he said all of that. And he discarded the jar. Now, I don't know what spirit it was in those woods that took that jar or accepted what he said. But literally, everything that was her intentions for him reversed back to her. So it wasn't a situation where, like, he did work on her to, to make her feel what he felt. He just wanted her to love him again, right? He just wanted the relationship to be back good. That's all he wanted. It wasn't a situation where he wanted her to be obsessed or anything like that. But what he said over the discarding of that jar, basically, it pushed everything back on her. So it backfired. So we didn't know all of that. I'm jumping ahead, but we didn't know all of that. So she was like, I don't know what he said when he went to the woods, but what I did for you wasn't harmful. She was like, but out of good faith, I will take it off of you. And she was like, but I want you to know the way he described things and the way I looked into it, once I take this off of you, you guys are going to break up because the love that you had for him had dwindled. So there's no love there. So, you guys are going to break up. And she was like, I don't want us to break up. I just want for our relationship to be better, but I don't want to feel the way I feel. And he's not giving me that energy. So what can we do to make him love me without things going back to where they were before? And the lady was like, I don't want no more parts of this. I'm just going to clear everything that's off. Here's the price for it. You pay it. We good. And so my cousin was like, okay. She said, can I do a payment plan? Because I feel like it was like $1,500 to undo everything. And she was like, yes. And she was like, I'm going to go ahead and undo it. You just make sure that you pay me. At the end of the day, my cousin didn't pay the $500. So she paid everything but $500. So go home, it's a done deal, whatever. And the first day that she got home, they're arguing, they're fighting. He came home in a bad mood or whatever. And they're just back and forth. And this goes on for a couple weeks where they just were not getting along, but they were kind of stuck in this house together because, he just started back working. he was, he wasn't necessarily fully the breadwinner, but his income kind of helped out the household. And her having this place kind of helped him out without having to pay a high amount in rent. So they were kind of like stuck with each other in this house. They couldn't just up and leave. So at this time, they're both at each other's throats. They're like, we got to do something to fix this. So they go back to the lady. They both sit down in front of the lady. She's like, what's going on? And my cousin is basically saying, we just want things to be good like how it was before when we first met. We just want our relationship to work. We want to save it, but it seems like we hate each other guts. I don't know if it's because all of this stuff that we're putting on each other, taking off each other, but we just want to have a relationship like it was before. And the lady's like, well, you do owe me. I'm gonna need what you owe me, and then my fee for this if you want me to repair what is broken in your relationship. And my cousin is just like, explaining to her, I really don't have the money. Is it possible that, you can, allow me to pay something and then I owe you the rest? And so, whatever the price was, my cousin was now back at still owing $500. So the work is, the work is done or whatever. And so they go home, life is good or whatnot. And, they're happy. Things are okay. And, they're kind of like co-parenting, coexisting or whatever. So then what ends up happening is that he started back cheating. What she did was, I guess she mended the relationship. She gave them a clean slate or a fresh start, where they could kind of forget about the past or let the past go. Kind of like a healing ritual, I guess, or a healing spell for the relationship, and gave them kind of like a fresh start. But because they weren't necessarily meant to be with each other, and this was really supposed to be a temporary relationship for my cousin, things kind of went left. It went sour. So my cousin ended up going back to the lady once he started back cheating, started back doing the things that he was doing. And she was just like, please, can you fix this? Can you just make him back how it was before, where he was all about me? That was when we were at our best. And she was like, do you not remember that he was getting physical with you? Do you not remember that it wasn't safe for you and that, he was becoming really violent? And she was like, I don't care. I can handle it. I mean, I don't want him to be violent towards me, but I want those feelings to be similar to how they were before. And so the lady said, you know what? I'm going to do this for you. I'm not even going to charge you, but you still owe me my $500. I still owe my $500. But after I do this for you, I don't want you to come back. And I'm taking it that she did her this favor or this solid by giving her this one last ritual because she was tired of her, right? All money ain't good money. So I'm going to do this one thing. You still owe me my money, but I ain't doing it no more. And so lo and behold, they're back in that cycle of him being obsessed, him being, all about her. And he felt like, did she do work on me again or whatever? But the way the root worker did it this time, he didn't even feel inclined to go back to the root worker. He didn't even nothing inside of him told him to go back to her. He was just, angry and upset all the time. And he was obsessed with my cousin, but he was fighting it. So he was fighting for that free will. So even though he was obsessed with her, all over her, wanted to be up under her, he was still a dog. He was still cheating. He was just being more creative about the cheating because he did not want to lose her. So I remember my cousin decided so the instructions that he feeling some type of way, she didn't know 100% that he was cheating because he was still doing what it was that he needed to do. But she just felt like something was off with him. And so she decided she was going to start doing her. So when he would disappear but keep in contact or whatever, she would talk to who she wanted to talk to. So she started cheating just like he was cheating, but both of them was hiding it very well. So it looked like the perfect relationship, but it really wasn't. And I remember she met this guy. She was really into him. She was starting to like him. She fell in love with him. She decided that this is who she wanted to be with. And so she decided she wanted to break up with her boyfriend. This man was not letting her go. He felt like he lost everything. He lost the relationship with his kids. He lost the relationship that he had with his baby mamas. He lost his job. He felt like he gave up so much of his life in these years that he was with her. And he was like, I sacrificed everything. I lost everything. And you think that you're going to leave me? You're going to put me out of this house that I helped pay for? Like, you're going to take all of this away from me? Oh, no, it's not going to happen. Like, oh, no, I'm leaving. So she packed up her stuff with her kids and she ran off with this man. He found her and he brought her back. Although this man loved her, he knew he was no match for the boyfriend. Like, he really didn't even like try to fight to keep her at that house, at his house. Like, he didn't try to do any of that. He was just like, you need to take care of this. You need to handle this. I don't want to be in the middle of it. And she was really heartbroken because she really did love this man. And she just felt like, why are you not protecting me? Why are you not defending me or whatever? And oh boy, boyfriend number one was just like, oh no, you're not going nowhere. And it became more so of a more toxic relationship. Now he's really not letting her leave the house. Now he really doesn't trust her. Now he's doing him, but he's putting fear in her so she would not do her. And the only thing that saved her from this relationship is my people going to a different person and basically getting all of this spiritual stuff taken off of her. Now, when it comes to that lady and her not paying that money, because she never paid that money, my people ended up going back to the lady, trying to figure out what's going on. Like, why is it that the love work that you're doing is like, it's just not working? Like, it's not a perfect dynamic. And the lady said, first of all, she owed me $500. And she's like, you cannot expect for spirits to uphold their end of the bargain if you, the customer or the client, is not holding up your end of the bargain. Things might be smoother selling if she just paid me my money. And they're like, we're not going to pay you because you didn't fulfill your end of the deal. And she's like, she didn't fulfill her end of the deal when she didn't pay me. One thing you don't do is you don't argue with a root worker, especially if they have especially if they have your life in the middle of their hands. But they went back and forth. It became a big mess. They threatened the root worker. The root worker, she didn't really threaten them, but she was like, because she wasn't really worried about them. She's a root worker. She was just like, okay, whatever. I'm going about your business. Promise you, the night that they left her, everything turned up a notch. This man went clean off. It's like everything that my cousin did wrong in their whole relationship, all of that came out. All of that just hit the table. And when I say he did her dirty, he did her dirty physically. So he ended up being arrested, detained, whatever. He ended up going to jail. And they set her down and they're like, girl, if you do not leave this man, you are not going to be alive. Like, you got to do this for those girls. And she's like, I'm going to leave. And so she packed up her stuff to leave. And let's just say homegirl left for a while he was, gone handling his business in jail. She left for a little while. But out of nowhere, she started to get these deep, dark feelings, sensual feelings for him. She started to miss him. She wanted to be with him. So what does she do? She go back. So he gets out. She goes back. They're back playing house. She's like obsessed. They're like both obsessed with each other. It becomes a really, really toxic situation. And so the family sit down and they're just like, okay, we don't like this. We don't like this for you guys. We know you guys cannot be happy. Like, what is going on? Like, we know that you guys been playing around in the magic. What have you guys done? Like, what are you guys doing that's keeping this up? Like, don't you guys want to be together without having to use magic, without having to do roots on each other? Can't you guys just be happy, just the two of you? And they're like, yes. They're like, you're right. This isn't healthy. So they go back to the lady. This time when they go back to the lady, my cousin has her $500. She's ready to pay the lady, be done. In her mind, and with the elder said as long as she has that open tab, they felt like the lady was playing around with their relationship. Because some days my cousin and him were good. Other days they were bad. And they just felt like she was playing around with them spiritually. So they show up with the money. And the lady's like, I don't want the money. And they're like, we want to give you this money. We just want it to be a done deal. We don't want nothing else to happen spiritually. We just want this clean slate. Like, we just want everything off. We just want to be done. And she's like, I don't want the money. And they're like, why don't you want the money? And she's like, I can't take the money. She basically was like, they don't want the money. Like, you're getting what you're getting, but they don't want the money. So back in the day, when you pay a root worker, you don't hand them cash. You never would hand them cash. You will always leave the money on a sacred space, whether it was a sacred altar or a plate or a cup, basket or something. You would never give them the money directly. They would never touch the money. I don't know why, but they didn't back in the day. So they leave the money on the table, whatever, they leave. And when they get home and they go in their house, the money is sitting on the table. The crisp $50 bills that they paid this woman in, they're all sitting on the table in the exact same manner in which they left it at her house. So they're like, this don't seem right. We're going back. So they go back. They plead their case. They try it again. She says, I don't want the money. They're telling me not to accept the money. I cannot accept the money. They're like, we just want this to be done. She's like, I'm not taking the money. They leave it. They leave that money on the table and they leave again. Now they're on their way home. This is like kind of like nighttime, but not nighttime. Probably, I don't know. I can't tell you what time it was, but I would say like it was dark, but it was not dark. Okay. So it could have been like 6, 7, with the way time is now, who knows? But I remember back in the day, it'll be late as hell, but it will still be bright outside. But the world is changing. So they're driving down the road. The lights of the car is on and they see like paper blowing in the wind or whatever. And they're like, that looks like money. So they get out the car and they stop the car to get out the car and they're picking up this money. And so they get back in the car, they count the money, and guess how much money they found blown in the wind? $500. So they go back to the lady, right? When they go back to the lady, her gate is closed. Gate closed means she's not there, come back tomorrow. So they go home. They go back, I want to say it was a couple days in a row. It was a couple days shy of a week, but I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say it had to have been between 5 to 7 days, but I know it was more than 4, but I just know it wasn't a full week, and I knew it was more than 4 days because every time they went to the lady, they would stop by our house because I guess we were kind of like in the middle between the lady and them. And I remember them being there. I remember those kids being there like almost every day, right? And so they would stop by and they would visit or whatever. And they would sit at the table and they would talk. And me being a kid, I would sit there and I would listen to the gossip. And so the last day that they went to go see the lady and they came back, that's when this whole discussion came up. That's when everything came to light. This is how I'm able to tell you guys the story. And so my cousin says that when she first went to go see the lady to put the work on him, she was well aware of the side effects and what could happen. So the lady basically had her put her own intentions into the work. Whatever it was that she wanted from him is what she would get. And that's what she wanted. She wanted him to only be about her, to only be consumed with her. She wanted to have his kids. She did not want him to have a relationship with anybody else. She wanted him to wake up and go to sleep with just her and him and their kids. And that's exactly what it was that she wanted. And then, of course, he told what his expectations was, that he really just wanted her to be back like how it was before. They talked about the cheating, and he said that he basically was cheating because he never was in a stable, committed relationship. That's why he had so many kids. That's why he had so many kids on her. So remember I told you guys he had 2 kids when they first met. She had 1, but he ended up having 6 by the time, by the time that spell was put on him. He had 6, and he just never really been in a relationship. And it came out that he was actually talking to another cousin, and she basically stole him from our other cousin. And so you kind of like, you reap what you sow, right? He didn't know how to be in a relationship. And so when it came out about the cousin, everyone was like, girl, why would you want to take your cousin man or whatever? She said that the lady told her that the woman that was for him was the cousin. And she knew and was well aware that she was coming in and she was interfering with something that was meant to be. She knew that. And the lady told her that if she was not pure of heart, if this was not coming from a good place, that things can happen, that some things cannot be guaranteed, right? Which is why, you know, things got pretty dark. And so she told us that in the beginning, when he first was like really obsessed, she went back to the lady and she was telling the lady all the stuff that was happening. And the lady was like, this is no longer going to benefit you. It would be best if you take it off and you just going about your business. Like it's going to backfire, right? And she said she didn't care. She wanted him, so she was able to handle whatever came with him. So basically, she allowed herself to be put in this sticky situation with this man who didn't really care about her, but she really wanted to be with him. And so they talked about it, and, you know, that's why all the gossip comes. I love the tea. I love the family tea. So they're like, we're bigger than the root work. We can overcome this. We can, be free ourselves from these shackles. We can be together. But he wasn't interested in being with her. Once everything came to light, I could kind of tell the way he was looking at her, he was done. Like once he found out all the crazy stuff that was going on, all the conversations that she was having with this root worker lady, and now the root worker don't want to take nothing off. You owe her money. Like, he was over it. Like, he wasn't trying to hear nothing else. So he ended up leaving her. When he ended up leaving her, now mind you, everything backfires. So all the feelings that he had for her, now she had for him. And it's like, as the days go by, everything was affecting her, but it wasn't affecting him anymore. It was almost like things were lifted off of him, but everything was affecting her. And she tried to unalive him. She became this obsessive stalker person. Like, he had to put restraining orders against her. He had to call the cops on her. He moved on to live a wonderful life with other people, I assumed. I do feel like he went back to being a great father. I can't really say for sure. I do know that when they were going through their legal issues because of all the things that she was doing, majority of the time when the child care people got involved or whatever, they would temporarily put the kids with him. She did get the kids back, and I feel like they just stopped fooling with each other, but I also feel like she was the one holding the kids away from him, because I remember when we were kids, the little girls always talk about their dad. It was like, my daddy this, my daddy that, I do this, I do that, my daddy. And then eventually when they would come over, it just stopped. And I remember one time he came to the house trying to get in contact with her, and my people was just like, I don't know, you have to reach out to her. And I remember I felt like I remember him basically saying she was not answering his calls or whatever. But they went their separate ways. And it took like an additional 5 years for her to be free of just being obsessed with him. Like, she became that single white female. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but the magical number is 5, y'all. It took her 5 years to become free. She owed this woman $500. I think after they went to her house over and over again and she just was not available, I feel like that's what made them stop. The crazy part about it is, I forgot to include this in the conversation. The crazy thing about it was, her gate was like at the end of this long driveway, right? And other people used to go to her. And so I remember one time, it was some family members, and they said we're going to go see the lady or whatever. And I remember her not wanting to go because she knew that her and the lady kind of like had bad blood or whatever. And I remember her, like, they took 2 cars, and she stayed behind in one car while everybody went up to the gate or whatever to go see the lady or whatnot. Now, the gate's at the end of a driveway, which means that's a long walk there and a long walk back, right? And they come out or whatever. And then when they come out, the other people in the other car, the car that she stayed behind in, they decided that they wanted to go and speak to the lady. So they're driving up, and they're like, okay, we're driving up. You're going to get out. You're going to get in their car, and we're going to go see the lady. When they drove up to go see the lady, now, mind you, one car is already like pulling out. The other car is kind of coming in, pulling in. And so the first car goes to move. When the first car goes to move, the gate is up, right? Which is nearly impossible because, like I said, it's a long driveway. So somebody literally has to drive down, lock the gate, then drive back up, or walk, lock the gate, and walk back up. Nobody in that car locked that gate. And the way the gate was locked, it wasn't locked with like a key and what's the thing called? A lock. It was locked spiritually. It was like a staff, and it was like a staff, and I think it was like a cross and something else. But basically it had like a little special fancy way of locking the gate, spiritually locking the gate. And they said that the gate was only locked because she was in that car. So it wasn't that that lady gate was locked every time she went physically. It was locked spiritually. It was almost like an illusion, stating that she could not access that road. She could not go down that road, and anyone that was with her was going to be blocked also. And they're like, that's scary, that's fishy. So they do a test, right? The test. So they decided to do a trick, right? So both cars left. The first car made a U-turn. The first car went back. Voila, gate open. So the first car make their U-turn. Second car come in, gate lock. And they're like, girl, I don't know what you did. I don't know what's going on, but you're going to have to get out this car. Now, they did do the thing where everybody turned their backs. She got out the car. She got in the second car, turned back, but the gate was still locked. Like sometimes in spirituality, spirits be like, I know you looking. We ain't doing it again. But she was locked out. So I say all that to say, before you do love work on anyone, make sure your intentions are good. Make sure it's coming from a pure heart. Make sure you're not just trying to lock them in because you want them for selfish reasons. Because, baby, when I say my cousin went through it, my cousin went through it. So
women really be forgetting that men be doing witchcraft too. Also, ignore my face. I just wrapped it for the night, you know. But like 3 weeks ago or something, I got a random message, and that's nothing because on my main account, I like keep my messages open. I don't always reply because I barely remember to reply to anything. But I got this creepy ass message, and I wish I would have saved it. I need to start screenshotting everything, baby. And it sent me to this video. And the video, first of all, the person who sent it to me, it was like one of those like fake like blank accounts or whatever, like, you know, the shady accounts, burner as the kids call it. And the link sent me to this video talking about, you know, you're locked in when you try to sync up to her period to do like witchcraft or some shit. And then I reply. I usually don't reply either. I reply to question mark. Like, no, I was like, I'm confused. And then they replied, he. You know, the little he emoji. Men be messaging me all the time talking about, like, how can I put a love spell on my girl? Honey, I'm not gonna help you put any type of spell on a woman. Not even if you paid me, bitch, I got morals. Ready to go get to digging in the woods by yourself, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, be safe out here in these streets, ladies, okay? Women really be forgetting that men be doing witchcraft too.
If your lover has gone missing and you need them back, you need to try this love spell right here. This love spell was passed down to me from my Haitian grandmother and my auntie, and I'm giving it to you. We all been in a situation where we want somebody back, and it's all right to have another opportunity. If you do everything that I show you, then you will get results. Leave a comment before you do this spell so I can send you positive energy. So the first thing you want to do, you want to get you a jar. I got this from Dollar Tree. It doesn't matter what type of jar it is, just make sure it's glass. Y'all know what it is. I'm going to smudge this down with my incense before I use it. Now, you want to get 2 pieces of paper and write your name and their name just like this. The next thing you want to do is get you a little candle. I had to cut mine so it can fit in the jar. I'm going to show you what to do with this next. And of course, we got to smudge this little candle down before we use it. The next thing you want to do is get you something to tie these pieces of paper to this candle. I went to the store, I tried to look for pink and red, but I couldn't find it, so I tried to dye this pink, but you know, it didn't really work. But we gonna make it work tonight, okay? So sometimes you gotta get creative. We gonna make it do what it do. Alright, y'all see how that looks? I left a little bit of candle right here at the top because I'm just gonna light this, okay? But we gonna put this to the side. Let's add some sugar to this real quick. Some honey. Some love oil if you have some, but if you don't have none, that's okay. We gonna put a sigil in here. You know, you can get one made for you and your lover, your name, and I'll personalize it with their name in it. But we gonna put this in a jar. These only cost $10 to get one, so WhatsApp me, email me, or message me on TikTok to get one. Let's finish this up real quick. All right, so if you don't have a sigil, that's okay. If you don't have the love oil, that's okay. Just use everything else that I told you. Now visualize your intentions as you look into the flame. Put it into the jar and close it.
What is going on, family? Broken Prophet here, and thank you guys so much for all the love you showed last night's webinar. For those of you who came in person and sat in the live studio audience, for those of you who caught it live, and those of you who couldn't make it live, but you know you'll get the replay. For those of you who did not get in on the replay, will be up and available later on this evening. We had a good time learning how to make hoodoo dolls and how to work them for various different situations. But anyway, today I'm going to give you guys a very simple yet powerful hoodoo love spell. Now, here's the thing. Do not make the mistake that the marketeers want y'all to make and think that just because hoodoo workings are simple, that simple equals easy. It does not. Okay? When you do this traditional and powerful working, you're going to go, oh, these are just a few ingredients. All right. The scriptures that I mentioned, you're going to need to memorize them, okay? You memorize them because you are going to need to be in alignment. That means that since this is a love spell, you need to be feeling love, not thirstiness, not anxiety, not anger, but love while you're doing the working the entire time. And that is what, you know, that's why hoodoo spells may be simple, but they're not always easy, because how hard is it to stay in the moment of something when you have the situation itself pressing upon you? Okay, so keep that in mind while you're doing this working. And let me tell you, this working is good to get someone to call you who has blocked you. This working is good to attract someone who you may know casually, but you want to know romantically. And if y'all are nice in the comment section and ask politely, I'll give you a variation to help put the spark back in a situation that may have gotten a little bit stale. And also down below, tell me, do y'all want to learn a hex, a money drawing working, or just let me know. All right, y'all have a good one. I appreciate it. Let's get to the video. Okay, family, all we're gonna need is a red stick candle. Okay, yes, it has to be red. Yes, it has to be a stick candle. Where y'all work with me, a red stick candle. Get you a tea light. All right, and you'll see why. It'll be really helpful. And for the working, you're going to need rose petals, mistletoe, and coriander. Okay, yep, regular old cooking coriander, right? So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to light this tea light. Nope, there's no praying or anything involved. The tea light is mainly a utility, and you're going to see why we're going to use the tea light. Now, when the tea light gets good and liquefied, you know, it doesn't take a tea light long to heat up. And let me tell y'all something, y'all do this working. The person you're working on ain't gonna take them long to heat up either, if you know what I mean. You are gonna take your ingredients and get them ready. When the tea light is good and liquefied, pick it up and pour the wax along the candle. And while it is cooling, then take a pinch of coriander and a pinch of mistletoe. And you don't need a whole lot, okay? Just a little bit to help you dress that candle, because a lot of you have problems dressing the candle and you smear it with oil and it becomes a big old mess, okay? Remember, candles are meant to burn wax and wick. And yes, we do dress candles with oil, but listen, we're just going to do it this way for right now. So when you're done, what you'll end up with is something that looks like this. Minimally dressed, just enough to get the job done, but it doesn't interfere with how the candle burns. You're not using hot glue. Y'all not bedazzling my workings. Now, once you got that ready, okay? And also check your wicks. Because see, this is something no one teaches y'all. All right, you don't want a super long wick because that'll cause a lot of soot and whatnot. See, this one looks all right. If your wick is longer than that, you want to trim it down to about 1/4 to like less than half, a little less than half of an inch. For this working, you are going to recite from Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water, and God said, let there be light. And you're going to light that candle. Now, you are going to concentrate. You are going to have whoever it is you're working on in mind. No, you didn't use a petition paper. No, you did not scratch their name. You are just going to keep them in mind while you recite Isaiah 55:11. So shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth. It shall accomplish all to which I have sent it, and it will not return to me void. And after you say Isaiah 55:11, you say, whoever's name, you shall begin to like me, become attracted to me, want to date me, so on and so forth. Keep it short, but be direct. And you are going to burn this candle for 1 hour and then put it out. You can blow it, pinch it, I don't care. Then put it out. And then the next day, burn it for an hour. The next day, burn it for an hour. Do that until it's completely gone. Now, usually around the halfway point, you start to see some action with the person. But definitely by the time the candle is done, oh yeah, you got them at that point. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
What happens to them happens to you. If you're doing a binding spell, you got to understand that both of you guys are tied together. You are joined to be one. So whatever happens to that individual, you can almost expect the same thing to happen in your life.
Hi, Mark from Coven of Gaia. This is a spell for bringing back someone that you love, someone that you miss that's not in your life at the moment. And what you need is a white candle, a black candle, and a piece of thread or string or wool, something like that, to do the binding with. Because each of these candles, one will represent you and one will represent them. So this candle, the white one, is going to represent them. And what you do, you work it through the incense, and as you do that, you say their name. I'll say X for the sake of this. I am thinking of you, X. I miss you very much, and I want to have you back. And then you put that in a stand, and you light it. Then you take the black one, which is representing you, and you say your name. I, Mark, miss you very much and want you back in my life. And you work it in the incense, and then you pop that in a stand, and you light that as well. Now, what you do, the other part, the other ingredient, is the binding string. And you work that through the incense. And as you do that, you say, with this string, I will bind us together. This will bring us back together and hold us together, because I miss you and I believe you miss me too. So you bind that. Then what you do, you eliminate both of the flames for now. You then bind the two candles, which of course represent them and represent you, and you bind them together with the string or the wool or the cotton. And while you're doing it, you think with intention that this string, you say, with this string I bind us together now and for always. Then you put the two together, so they're held together, and you light both of them. And you let them burn down, taking the string with them, and they will burn down away completely. And this, while it's happening, spend as long as you can with it, looking at them and watching them, and all the time considering your intention for what the spell means to you. So I hope it all works for you. Blessed be.
I don't know what's going on, but today God really wanted me to deal with love spells to help you to understand not only how powerful they are, but how dangerous they are. Today, witchcraft is trending and a lot of people are practicing it because they lack understanding. This is why God said, above all thy getting, get understanding. We all want something, and all too often we come in contact with people that we are attracted to, but they have this mechanism called will. After all, the soul is comprised of the mind, will, and emotions. But if that person doesn't want us in return, there's literally nothing that we can do legally. Think about it. God doesn't even control us. He gave us will and the freedom to express their will. So anytime you try to rob a person of their ability to make a sober decision, you are practicing the illegal act of witchcraft and you are employing the use of demonic spirits. Demons and blessings don't go hand in hand. You can't use demons and expect to get a blessing in return. The way these spirits work is they will go to that person. Let's say you're a woman and you put a love spell on a man. This is just for example's sake. The way that those spirits work is they will inundate the man's mind with thoughts of you. They will even give him dreams about you. And then there's that false confirmation. For example, his mother may say, hey, I saw old girl at the supermarket yesterday. She was looking really good. Before long, you will have your man if he is not properly guarded. But here's where things get messy. A lot of people don't realize that witchcraft is very similar to drugs and alcohol. It literally brings people under the influence, but it's gonna wear off. Which is why when people practice it, they have to do another spell behind another spell. And before some witch comes in my comments and start arguing and saying, well, I did witchcraft on a man and a woman and they're still together to this day and they never had to do it again. The reason that they never had to do it again was because he got soul tied to her. And even though he may not want her, he's reasoning within himself that, hey, we got kids now. No sense in leaving. I don't know how desperate you got to be to want somebody that does not want you. But once you have your dude, he's going to start sobering up. Again, he may stick around if you have kids, but he's not going to necessarily want you. And yes, he may cheat on you with the woman that he actually does want. But a lot of times, if you keep practicing witchcraft, he will feel trapped. He may feel like there's no way out. Today, there are too many cases of people killing their lovers. And in some of those cases, many of those cases, I don't think we realize you're dealing with a person who put a spell on another person. Not to blame the victim here, but a lot of people don't understand how spiritual warfare works. Using a demon to bring another person under a spell can cause that person to feel trapped. And people do some desperate things when they feel trapped. I'm saying this to say, love spells are dangerous. They're sweet in the beginning, but they're incredibly bitter in the end.
I'm in love. I'm obsessed. And I don't even feel guilty about it.
Hips, you grip, I grind, then taste this wine. I'ma taste what's mine, I'ma take what's mine. Wonder whatever, wherever's fine.